Good afternoon all. Again I am here to discuss the JEE Advanced Paper 2 half course test 3. My name is Vipul Duggal. I am a chemistry faculty at Aakash Invictus. So let's begin the session. So this is section 1 that contains 6 questions, one or more than one correct. The question number 20, identify the options which are correct with respect to solubility of gas. One second. Identify the options which are not correct with respect to solubility of gas in water. So value of KH, Henry's constant, that is, will decrease as the temperature increases. We know that if the temperature increases, solubility of gas in liquid solution decreases because that is the exothermic process. So we know that KH is inversely proportional to the solubility, that is the solubility we represent by the mole fraction. So if the solubility decreases, so KH would be increase. So here it is given that would be decrease. So we have to tell about not correct. So this is incorrect option. Option 2, value of KH, Henry's constant at the same temperature for O2 gas will be less than compared to the H2 gas. So O2 is more soluble in water than the hydrogen gas. So we can say if O2 is more soluble, so the Henry's constant value for the O2 would be less. So this is the correct option. We have to choose incorrect. Soft drink will have greater fizz if sealed under lower pressure. So we know that the solubility of gas in liquid solution increases when the pressure is increased. So will have greater fizz if the pressure is high. So this is the incorrect option. We have to choose incorrect. Scuba divers, when they move under the water, will have increased solubility of gases in their blood. Yes, solubility of gas in their blood increases for the scuba diver, we know that, the fact. So this is again a correct option, but we have to choose the incorrect. So option A and C is here incorrect options, not correct. Let's check the answer. The answer given is A and C. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following statements are true about P4O6 and P4O10? That is the question number 21. So we must know about the structure of P4O6 and P4O10. So it is both having a cyclic structure, we know that. So both is having a cyclic structure. We can draw the structure of P4. This is the structure of P4O6. And there is a bridge oxygen as well. So this is the structure of P4O6. And for the P4O10, we know that double bond oxygen will be present at each and every oxygen atom. So P4O10 would be like this. This will be like this, and there are two bridge oxygen. Now let's check the option. We have to choose these true statements. Both these oxides have a closed cage-like structure. Yes, this is correct. Each oxide requires 6 molecules of water for the complete hydrolysis to form their respective oxoacids. So what will happen when P4O6 will react with 6 moles of water? It will form H3PO3. And P4O10, when it reacts with 6 moles of water, it forms H3PO4. Both are the oxyacids. This is the dibasic and this is the tribasic oxyacid. Okay, again, this option is also correct. Both these oxides contain 12 equivalent PO bonds. We can simply calculate the PO bonds. All PO bonds are equivalent here. And not all PO bonds are equivalent. Only 12 PO bonds are equivalent here. But P double bond O, these bonds, these 4 bonds are not equivalent with respect to PO bonds. So these PO bonds you have to calculate. See, 12 PO bonds are equivalent in both cases. P4O6 and P4O10 both contains P pi D pi bonds. So P4O6 does not contain any P pi D pi bond, but here This pi bond is p pi d pi bond, p pi d pi bond. Phosphorus and oxygen, oxygen ka p and phosphorus ka d orbital would be involved here. So this is the incorrect option. Both doesn't contain p pi d pi. Only P4O10 contains. Let's check the answer to this question. Yes, ABC is given. Next question is 1000 ml of 1 molar CuSO4 is electrolyzed by passing a current for 9.65 ampere for the 100 seconds using platinum electrode, and which of the following statements are correct? We have to choose. So what would happen when CuSO4 aqueous solution is electrolyzed? At cathode, we can say the copper 2 plus ion will be reduced into copper solid. At anode, the oxidation of water would take place, and when water will oxidize, it will produce O2 plus electron. When we balance it, you will get this reaction. So these are the electrolysis products obtained on the electrolysis of CuSO4 when we are passing the 9.65 ampere for the 100 second. So here the product is at cathode, copper is deposited, and you can say at anode O2 gas is released and H plus aqueous ions will be released. So blue color intensity increases during electrolysis. So we can say that blue color intensity does not increase because copper 2 plus is getting reduced here. So blue color intensity, that is due to the copper 2 plus ion present in the solution, it would get decrease. Okay, so this is the incorrect option. We have to choose correct statement here. Blue color intensity remains constant if copper electrode is used. So students, if you will use copper electrode instead of platinum electrode that is given in the question, so what will happen? At anode, the copper electrode will get oxidized, and at cathode, copper 2 plus ions will get reduced. So there will not be any change in the concentration of copper 2 plus in the solution. So the blue intensity remains constant. So copper 2 plus concentration would remain constant. So it is the correct option. pH of the solution is 8 after the electrolysis. We can simply calculate, and we know that at anode, H plus ion is getting released. If H plus ion is getting released, we can say the pH would be less than 7 as the solution will be acidic. Now if you want to find out the pH of the exact pH of the solution, we can simply use the formula W equal to ZIT and W by E equal to IT divided by 96,500. From here we can calculate the equivalence of H plus. You can calculate the equivalence of H plus as we know the current and time divided by 96,500. The number of equivalents would be equal to 9.6500 divided by 96,500. When you solve it, you will get the number of equivalents equal to 0.01. And you have a number of equivalents of H plus ions is 0.01. You can simply calculate the pH of the solution, and that will be less than 7. So this is again an incorrect option. Next is 28 ml of CH4 at 1 atm and 273 Kelvin. That is the standard condition required for its combustion by O2 liberated during the electrolysis. So it is saying that CH4 volume would be produced, the volume of CH4 would be 28 ml. At these conditions, at these standard conditions, how can we approach this part? We can simply calculate the moles of O2 here. And we have already calculated the number of equivalents. These are the number of equivalents of O2. You can say these are the number of equivalents of H plus, because the number of equivalents would be remain same, either of the anodic products and the cathodic products. The number of equivalents of copper, H plus and O2 would be equal to 0.01. So we can say the number of equivalents of O2 is 0.01. How can you calculate the number of moles of O2? These are the moles. So number of equivalents is equal to number of moles into n factor. So number of equivalents are 0.01, that is 0.01. we will divide it by the n factor. What would be the n factor for the oxygen? Oxygen का 1 mole 4 mole of electron gain कर रहा है. Oxygen, 1 mole of oxygen is gaining what? 4 mole of electrons. So we would divide it by 4 and you would get 2.5 into 10 raised to power minus 3. These are the moles of O2. Now we should write the reaction of combustion reaction of CH4 required for the CH4. What would be the reaction of CH4 with the oxygen? This is the reaction. This is the reaction. So we know the moles of O2, we can simply get the moles of CH4. So what would be the moles of CH4? Moles of CH4 would be half of the O2, 2.5 into 10 raised to minus 3 divided by 2. Now we know the moles of the CH4. From here we can simply calculate the volume of CH4. What would be the volume of CH4? Volume of CH4 would be moles of CH4 multiply by, we have to calculate it in ml, so we can multiply it by 20 to 400 and you would get the answer 28. When you will be calculating it, you would get 28. So this is again a correct option. Let's check the answer to this question. So option B and D is given. Okay. The next question, which of the following statement are incorrect? Incorrect statement we have to choose. The conductivity, a theoretical question it is, the conductivity of soap solution decreases sharply at the CMC. We know that at CMC, what happens? At CMC, aggregation of soap molecule takes place. Aggregation of soap molecule takes place. So aggregation, due to aggregation, conductivity, what would happen? Conductivity would decrease. So this is the correct statement and we have to choose the incorrect. Tyndall effect is more effective in gold sol than the starch sol. We know that gold sol is the lyophobic sol. Gold sol is the lyophobic sol. And lyophobic sols, for lyophobic sols, Tyndall effect is more effective than the lyophilic sols. So this is again a correct statement. So we have to choose the incorrect statement. The elevation in boiling point of an alcoholic solution of sulfur is less than that of its sol in water if mass of sulfur present per unit volume of the mixture is same in both cases. Okay. So we know that the alcoholic solution of sulfur would be a true solution. This would be a true solution. But this is a sol colloidal solution. In water it forms sulfur, in water it forms colloidal solution. And the colligative property of true solution is more than the value of the colligative property of true solution is more than the colligative property of colloidal solutions. So it is written that, it is mentioned that it is less than. So it is more than. It would be more. So it is the incorrect option and we have to choose the incorrect option. Next option, CMC value of this ion, this salt will be less than the CH3, CH2, This is soap solutions. So how can we decide the CMC value? CMC value can be decided on the basis of this non-polar part, hydrocarbon part. So larger the hydrocarbon part, smaller will be the CMC value. Smaller will be CMC value. So it is again a correct statement. So this question is have only one option correct. So let's check the answer. Yes, C is given. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following reaction does not occur in Bessemer converter? So we know that it is again a theoretical part. So in Bessemer converted, we know that what is the main reaction of the Bessemer converted? the main reaction of Bessemer converted is the copper sulfide का oxidation. Oxidation of complete oxidation of copper sulfide. So we have to choose does not occur. So this reaction represents the complete oxidation of copper sulfide into copper oxide. This is the copper 1 oxide. So this reaction will happen. And this reaction will also happen because there is a formation of copper oxide. But this reaction, this is the basically mixture of copper sulfide and iron sulfide. And this is the partial oxidation. In Bessemer converter we use for the complete oxidation. So this reaction cannot happen in the Bessemer converter. So we have to choose that does not occur. So according to the question, this is the correct option. This reaction cannot happen. And this is the reaction that will form a slag. This will happen. So this is, again, this question is having only one option correct. Let's check the answer. Yes, option C is given. Very simple question. Partial oxidation cannot take place in the Bessemer converter. In Bessemer converter, complete oxidation of copper sulfide takes place. Next question, select correct statement regarding the octahedral complex having CFSE equal to minus 1.2 del naught. Okay. So how can we decide the CFSE value will be equal to minus 1.2 del naught? So we will have to choose the configuration. So after thinking about the configuration, we will reach at the stage where we can decide the D8 and D3 configuration. D8 and D3 configuration will have the CFSE equal to minus 1.2 del naught. Let me tell you how can you calculate the CFSE value for D3 and D8 cap. For other configuration you can use the same concept. Okay, let me tell you about the D3. D3 is T2G3 and D8 is T2G6 and Eg2. Irrespective of nature of ligand, D8 would be T2G6 Eg2 and D3 is T2G3. So for T2G3 how can we calculate? D3 के लिए हम कैसे calculate कर सकते हैं? CFSE. So CFSE would be minus 3 into, ऐसे लिखो, you can write like this. T2G is more stabilized than the Eg. T2G have lower energy than Eg. Here Eg is 0. Okay. So 3 into minus 0.4 del naught. That is equal to the minus 1.2 del naught. So D3 configuration, the CFSE would be equal to this. For D8 configuration, how can we calculate? CFSE 6 into minus 0.4 del naught plus 2 into, there are 2 electrons in Eg, multiply by plus 0.6 del naught. So when you will be calculating it, minus 2.4 plus 1.2, it would be minus 1.2 del naught. So D3 and D8 configuration will have the CFSE value equal to minus 1.2 del naught. Now let's check the option. Compound is neither lower spin or high spin complex. Yes, because it does not depend on the nature of ligand. So we cannot comment on the low spin or high spin complex. It is a correct option. We have to choose the correct statement. Type of hybridization of complex does not depend on the nature of ligand. Obviously, nature of ligand पे depend नहीं करेगा. Type of hybridization. In both cases, strong and weak ligand, the hybridization would be same. So it is again correct option. Magnetic moments of complex compounds is either this or this. So how can we calculate the magnetic moment? Very simple. We can use the formula under root n plus 2 Bm. For D3 configuration, we have 3 unpaired electron, and for D8 configuration, we have 2 unpaired electron. So D3 configuration के लिए under root 15 and D8 के लिए under root 8 आ जाएगा. Okay. So n equal to 3 here, or here n equal to 2. Very simple. So this option is again correct. Let's check the option answer to this question. Yes, ABC is given. Okay. Now This is section 2 and it contains 3 question stems. Each question stem will have 2 questions. Let's move on to the section. So this is a question based on the electrochemistry. You can clearly see standard hydrogen electrode was arbitrarily assigned the value of 1 volt. Okay. What value we take for the standard hydrogen electrode? Usually that is the 0 volt. But question is saying that we have to take 1 volt for the standard hydrogen electrode. Okay. Arbitrarily choose kar liya hai. What would be this to the observed voltage standard condition for each of the following? We have been given that standard electrode potential of Zn, standard electrode potential of copper, and we know that when it is possible when standard hydrogen electrode is 0.00 volt. That we take usually. Okay. Let's check the what is asking in the question. It is asking about E0 Zn2 plus 2 Zn calculate karo when the arbitrarily value is 1 volt. Now, what is the formula for the E0 cell? If we are making a cell with Zn electrode and with the standard hydrogen electrode, what can be the formula of E0 cell? Cathode minus anode, E0 of H plus standard hydrogen electrode minus E0 of Zn2 plus. Okay. Now, we know that this is the experimental value that will be generated by the cell. The experimental value for the hydrogen and Zn cell would be equal to 0.76 volt. When it is 0 volt and we know that this is minus 0.76, it would be calculated at plus 0.76 volt. So this value will not get changed. This value will not get changed. So it would be 0.76, that is the experimental value, and E0 value for this we have to take 1 volt. So this is 1 minus E0 Zn2 plus 2 Zn, and E0 Zn2 plus 2 Zn would be equal to 1 minus 0.76, that will be equal to 0.24 volt. So E0 would be 0.24 volt when the standard hydrogen electrode arbitrarily value for the reduction potential or oxidation potential is 1 volt. This is the reduction potential. Okay. Let's check the answer to this question. So this is the 0.24 volt. Okay. Now, next question, we have to calculate E0 for Zn and copper cell. जो Zn and copper का cell जो बनेगा उसका E0 निकालना. So first we will have to calculate the E0 value for the copper electrode as well when this is 1 volt. In the same way we have calculated the sorry. In the same way we can calculate the E0 value of copper 2 plus when the standard hydrogen electrode potential is 1 volt. How can we calculate? Let's calculate. Okay. Now, E0 cell would be equal to E0 copper 2 plus to copper minus E0 H plus 2 H2. Now, E0 cell would be equal to, when it is 0 volt, E0 cell would be equal to 0.3 volt. 0.34 आ जाएगा. So from here we can calculate the value of E0 Cu2 plus 2 Cu. So when it is 0 volt, it would be equal to 0.34 volt. 0.34 equal to, and this we have to calculate, minus, this is, we have to consider as 1 volt. So the value of copper, E0 value for copper electrode would be equal to 1.34 volt when the standard hydrogen electrode की value हमने 1 volt ली है. Now we know the value of this and we know the value of Zn2 plus 2 Zn that we have calculated in the previous part. Now it is asking about Zn copper का अगर cell बनाएंगे तो E0 क्या होगा? E naught cell would be equal to copper will be act as a cathode and Zn electrode will act as a anode because it is having a less reduction potential. So E naught copper 2 plus 2 copper minus E naught Zn 2 plus 2 Zn. So it would be 1.34 minus 0.24. So it would be 1.10 volt. Let's check the answer to this question. Yes, it is given 1.10 volt. Question stem next. Two liquids A and B have the molecular mass and form same molecular mass. From ideal solution, the solution has the vapor pressure 700 mm at 80 degrees Celsius. Above solution is distilled without reflux. 3/4 of the solution is collected as the condensate and the mole fraction of A in the condensate is 0.75 and in the residue is 0.3 and vapor pressure of residue at this temperature is 600 mm. Okay. So what is the idea behind this question? Let's understand the problem. We have a mixture of A and B and this mixture has been vaporized in the closed container and the equilibrium is established. The problem is based on the Raoult's law and Dalton's law. So the equilibrium is established between these vapors and this, and the vapors is condensed. That is the known as the condensate, and these vapors are condensed in another container. Here the A plus B condensate. This is the condensate. So the mole fraction of vapors in vapor phase would be equal to the mole fraction of A and B in condensate phase. We can say this is the concept. Okay. Now question is telling that 3/4 of the solution is collected as the condensate and the mole fraction of A in the condensate is 0.75. Okay. Now suppose we have initial moles, total initial moles is equal to Na plus Nb. In this solution, we have total moles equal to Na plus Nb. Now, 3/4 of the total moles is a part of condensate. So we can say 1/4 is the part of residue, जो बच गया. The residue would be 1/4 of the total moles. So we can say 1/4 of total moles would be as a residue and 3/4 of the total moles it would be as a condensate. Okay. Now we can say the total moles initially would be equal to moles in residue प्लस मोल्स जो कंडेंसेट में चले गए, मोल्स इन कंडेंसेट. ओके. नाउ टोटल मोल्स इनिशियली ए के बात कर ले. टोटल मोल्स ऑफ ए in residue and moles of A in condensate. Okay. Now what would be the total moles initially A के initially कितने moles होंगे? So we can write XA dot Na plus Nb. Think about this. XA would be equal to Na upon में Na plus Nb and Na plus Nb would be cancel out. You would get Na moles of the A present initially. Okay. moles in residue. A के moles residue में कितने होंगे? तो we know that residue में A के moles कितने होंगे? Residue के अंदर we know the mole fraction. Where is the mole fraction of A? 0.3. तो it would be 0.3 into और total moles कितने हैं? 1/4 of Na plus Nb. Residue में total moles इतने बचे हैं. Plus moles in condensate, moles of A in condensate. Let's check the condensate में mole fraction कितना है? 0.75 So how can we calculate the moles of A in condensate? 0.75 multiply by कितने total moles है condensate में? तो 3/4 Na plus Nb. From here Na plus Nb would get cancel out and we can calculate the value of Xa. So value of Xa would be 0.3/4 plus 0.75 into 3/4. That is 0.3/4 plus 3/4 we can say into 3/4. Okay. When you will be calculating this, it would get, you will get Xa is 0.6375 and 1 minus Xa would be, that is equal to Xb 0.3625. Now what you know the Xa and Xb that is present originally in the solution. Okay. Now read again the question. So what is given? The solution has the vapor pressure 700 mm. Initially the solution has the vapor pressure equal to 700 mm. So initially total pressure initially, that is 700 mm equal to P naught A Xa plus P naught B Xb. And what is P naught A? That we have to find out. P naught A Xa what is? 0.6375 plus P naught B Xb is 0.3625. Okay. Now what is the another condition given to us? The vapor pressure of residue जो बच गया, क्या बचा? ये बचा था, इसके कारण क्या वेपर प्रेशर है 600. तो टोटल प्रेशर जो रेसिड्यू के कारण है दैट इज दिस 600. P नॉट A डॉट रेसिड्यू में मोल फ्रैक्शन कितना है A का? लेट्स चेक. 0.3. तो 0.3 प्लस P नॉट B इंटू B का मोल फ्रैक्शन कितना हो जाएगा? 1 minus 0.3, that is 0.7. Now we have two equations, this equation and this equation. First equation, second equation. After solving first and second equation, you will get P naught 807.40 mm. You can simply calculate, and P naught B is 511.11 mm Hg. Okay. Now let's check the answer to this question. The P naught A is asking, that is 807, and P naught B in the next question, 29 number question, P naught B is asking, that is equal to 511.11. Okay. So this is the question based on the liquid solution. Let's move on to the next question. Na2SO4, consider the reaction. Na2SO4 plus C gives on heating A, and Na2CN5, this is NO, nitrosyl, giving up compound B, purple color. Okay. From here we can judge the question. Like purple complex किसका बनता है? Sulfide ions के लिए. So A would have the ion S2 minus ion would be present. So S2 minus ion would give a purple color complex, that is Na4 FeCN5 NOS. This is the purple color complex that we study in the purification of elements, testing of sulfur, nitrogen. So sulfide ion is confirmed by this test. When we react it with the Na2FeCN5NO, we get the purple color complex. Now, so the A we can judge, A would be like this, A would be Na2S. So A is Na2S. If the A is Na2S, so when CD2 plus, when reacting with the Na2 plus, it will form a yellow precipitate of CDS. So C would be CDS. So what would we see here? CDS. Okay. Now let's see what is asking in the question. Find the value of A square minus B square by 9. What is A? A is the total number of electrons in T2G. T2G, this is the, and B is the total number of electron in EG of the complex B. This is a complex B. Complex B may, we can simply tell what is the oxidation of iron. Iron is X minus 5 plus NO here is a neutral ligand, minus 2 equal to minus 4, because it would get minus 4 charge. So you will calculate it as, so minus 5 minus 7 plus 3 plus 3, iron is in plus 3 oxidation state. So iron is in plus 3 oxidation state, minus 5 plus 0 minus 2 equal to minus 4. So iron 3 plus would be like this. Iron, what is the configuration of iron here? Iron is the 3d6 4s2. So iron 3 plus is the 3d5 4s0. 3d5. Let me check the iron would be in the plus 2. So plus 2, for the plus 2, if I take NaCN5, it is the NaCN4. It would be NaCN4. Because one sulfide ion is coming into the complex, the coordination number would remain same. Here the coordination number is 5 plus 1, 6. Here the coordination number is changed. So we have to remove one Cn, okay, for making the coordination number same. Okay, that is the concept for the complex compound. So it would be minus 4. We have changed the coordination number, but the coordination number cannot be changed. Once sulfur is introduced into the complex, so it would be plus 2. Okay, so iron is 3d6 4s2 and iron 2 plus is 3d6. Iron 2 plus is 3d6. Now, iron 2 plus is 3d6. It is asking about the number of electrons in T2G. So it is an octahedral complex. The complex would be octahedral. The point here to be remembered that coordination number here is 6. So it would remain here, same here. The coordination number would remain same here. The cyanide ion would remove and the sulfide ion will replace the cyanide ion here. Okay. So T2G 6 EG 0, because NO is the strong ligand, Cn is the strong ligand. Okay, T2G 6 and EG 0. And it is asking about number of electrons in T2G, it is 6, and B की value क्या हो गई 0. तो A is 0, A is 6 and B is 0. Let's calculate 36 minus 0 by 9, that is 4. So total number A square minus B square by 9 is 4. Let's check the answer. Answer given to this question is 4. Okay. What is the next question asking? For this question stem, the difference of the group number in the oxidation state of central atom in complex B. In complex B क्या था? Na4, Fe, Cn4, NOS. Okay, understood? Now, what is the oxidation state? Oxidation state is plus 2. And what is the group number? We know that iron having a configuration 3d6 4s2, iron ka group, not iron 2 plus, because in periodic table elements are present in their neutral state. That mistake you can do here. So 3d6 4s2, the group number would be equal to group number for D block elements. How you calculate the group number? N minus 1 D electrons and NS electron, that is 6 plus 2 8. And we have to ask tell about difference of group number and oxidation number, that is difference is 8 minus 2 is 6. Let's check the answer. Yes, 6 is the answer given. Okay. The section 3 next is, it contains 2 paragraphs, only single choice question. Black solid on reacting with KOH with here on heating giving a green compound, and on reacting with H2SO4 giving a purple compound. Okay, let's From here we can simply judge the purple compound will be potassium permanganate and green compound will be potassium magnate. So what are the reaction used here? Black solid would be MnO2 plus KOH plus oxygen. On reacting give K2MnO4. That is the compound A, that is the green compound. And it on acidification, we know that it gives KMnO4, that is the purple color B compound. Plus C can be H2 or MnO2 that will be formed. Now Ki on reaction with alkali solution of B, Ki on alkali solution of B. So KMnO4 is the B. When it is reacting with Ki, it gives compound D. That means KMnO4 will oxidize Ki. So it will produce KiO3. That is the compound D. Okay. Simple oxidation reaction of the oxidizing agent की तरह act कर रहा है with the Ki. A color of compound B disappears on the treatment with the acidic solution of FeSO4. That we know FeSO4 कोई oxidize कर देगा Fe3 plus में. With cold H2SO4, what would happen? Compound B gives E, which on being explosive decomposed to F and oxygen. What would happen? KMnO4 on reaction with the cold H2SO4, it provides acidic oxide Mn2O7. That is the E. That is the acidic oxide. And which on explosion, it gives MnO2 plus oxygen. That is the compound F. So this is the sequence of reaction. So nature of oxide E is what? E is Mn2O7, that is the acidic oxide. Okay, option A is correct. Next, what will be the hybridization of anion of compound D? So बच्चों, the compound D is KiO3, and what is the anionic part? IO3 minus. And what is the hybridization of IO3 minus? It is sp3 hybridized. It is sp3 hybridized. You can simply calculate on the basis of n/2 method. Steric number 7 valence electron charge add कर दो, ignore the oxygen. That would be give 4, and for 4, that is the number of hybrid orbital. 4 is the, and hybridization would be sp3. Let's check the answer to this question. Yes, it is sp3 again. Now, next question, stereoisomeric complex having same molecular formula, same constitution, they differ only with the special orientation of ligand. That is the geometrical isomers or optical isomers. Okay. Now, total possible geometrical isomers and optical active complexes respectively for this compound. Now, for this compound, you know that these are the monodentate ligand. So we can simply generalize this compound like this, Ma2B2C2. So how many geometrical isomers would be formed here? So it will have Gi equal to 5. How can you calculate Gi? I am telling you the very simple method. You know that for the octahedral complex, we have 3 transpositions. Okay. So we can write 3 transpositions here, AA, BB, CC. For AA, another possibility can be BC and BC. Now AB can be possibility AB. These are the transpositions, and AB and CC. For AB, you can write AC and BC. Now AB, for AC, you can write AC and BB. For AC, when you will be writing AC, AB and BC, it would get repeated, AB, AC, BC. So this is the method. You can choose the 3 transpositions for the monodentate ligand. You will get your 5 isomers. And what would be the 5 geometrical isomers would be there, but it is asking about geometrical isomers and optical active complexes, optical active isomers. तो optical active कौन सा होगा जिसमें सारे ट्रांसिस होंगे, like this, AA, BB and CC. AA, BB and CC. It will not have any plane of symmetry. All other will have a plane of symmetry. Let find out this complex, this isomer, जिसमें AC ट्रांस पे है, AB ट्रांस पे एंड BC ट्रांस पे है. तो AC, AB and BC वाला पेयर देखना है. AC, AB and BC. This is the optical active. तो ये optical active, it will have two optical isomers. One is its mirror image. So 5 will be geometrical and 2 will be the optical active isomers. Let's check the answer to this question. Answer given is A. Question number 35. This is the complex MA2B2C2, and on reaction with NH3 one ligand is removed and one is adding MA3B2 and C. Again it is asking about difference in the possible geometrical isomers of reactant and product. For this we have already calculated the geometrical isomers, that is equal to 5. For this we will have to calculate in the same way you can calculate AA, AB and BC, AA, AC and BB. Okay, so these are the transpositions. Okay, this column must be different from this column. If it is different from this column, that means this is a different isomer. These two are the different isomers. Now we are choosing AB. When we are choosing AB, we can write AB and AC. Okay, AB, AB, AC. This is again different from these two columns. Now for AB, we can write AA, BC, AA or BC. So this is repeated, AA, BC and AB. Now the isomers will get repeated. You can make the different columns. So you will get these are the 3 geometrical isomers. And you can simply draw it. Let me draw the one isomer for you. How can you draw? These are the transposition. You can put A on any transposition, AB on any transposition, BC on any transposition. From upward to downward or downward to upward, you will get different isomers. So 3 isomers would be there for this complex. So the difference would be equal to 5 minus 3 is 2. 5 minus 3. Difference between the possible geometrical isomers for the reactant and product. 5 minus 2. So 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay? So 4 and 2 are the option. Now, this section contains 3 integer based questions and answer would be ranging from 0 to 99. If the number of tranquilizers, chemistry in everyday life question, very factual question, and number of analgesic and number of bacteriostatic antibiotics are C, A and ये B है. The value of A plus B by C you have to calculate. So what are the tranquilizers? Tranquilizers are, this is the tranquilizer, Valium. This is the tranquilizer, chloramphenicol. This is the tranquilizer, a factual question. This is the tranquilizer and this is the tranquilizer. Now analgesics are, morphine is the analgesic, and what about this? Chlorodiazepoxide is the analgesic, and aspirin is also a analgesic. What is bacteriostatic antibiotics? C. So bacteriostatic antibiotics, this can behave as a bacteriostatic as well, chloramphenicol, and erythromycin, we know that this is the bacteriostatic antibiotic. This is not a bacteriostatic antibiotic, oxoclonine, and codeine is not. Okay, so tranquilizer कितने हो गए हमारे पास? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. A is equal to 5 and B is what? Analgesic 1, 2, 3, and C is bacteriostatic, antibiotic, that is equal to 2. So you can simply calculate 5 plus 3 divided by 2, that is 4. Let's check the answer to this question. That is given 4. Move on to the next question, question number 37. In the chemical reaction, this is given to you. The coefficients of S2O8, H2O, MnO4 minus, SO4 2 minus are given A. Its coefficient is A, its coefficient is B, and MnO4 minus coefficient is C, and SO4 2 minus coefficient is D. How can we find out the coefficient? We can simply balance the reaction. It is having a +2 oxidation state. It is having +7 oxidation state. And what is the oxidation state of this? 2x minus 16 equal to -2. So it will having a +6 oxidation state, or ये भी +6 oxidation state. So we can reduce the reaction into two parts, Mn2 plus to MnO4 minus. We can simply balance this reaction. For balancing the oxygen, we will add water molecules, 4 water molecules here. For balancing the hydrogen, we will add 8H plus here. Now balance the charge. Here the charge is +7, here the charge is +2. We can add the electron here, 5 electron. The charge is remain. Charge on the both side is same now. Okay. Now, how can we balance the S2O8 2 negative and SO4 2 negative? First balance the other atoms. Oxygen और hydrogen को छोड़ के 2s, and now each and every atom is balanced. We can balance the charge here. Here the charge is -2, here the charge is -4. We can add the electrons to balance the charge. Now how can we add these two reactions? We will multiply it by this reaction by 2 and this reaction by 5, and finally add these two reactions. You would get 2Mn2 plus 8 water plus 5 S2O8 2 negative gives, electrons would get cancelled out, 2 MnO4 minus plus 16H plus 10 SO4 2 minus. Now you know the coefficients of S2O8 minus. This is the A, and B, this is B, and MnO4 minus is C, and D is this. And it is asking about A plus B minus C minus D. You can simply calculate. Let's check the answer to this question. The answer given is 1. This is last question of this paper, JEE Advanced 2, paper 2. So this is the S3O9 structure, that is the cyclic trimer of SO3. Cyclic trimer of SO3, that is the S3O negative. S3O9. It is asking what total number of lone pair are A. Total number of lone pairs, how can we calculate? Each oxygen will have 2 lone pairs here. Each oxygen will have 2 lone pair here. So how many oxygens are present? 9 oxygens. So A would be equal to 9 into 2, 18. Now, number of sp3 hybridized atoms are B. So all ring atoms are sp3 hybridized. This one, this, all ring atoms are sp3 hybridized because it is having, oxygen is having 2 bonds and 2 lone pairs, and sulfur is making 4 sigma bonds. So 6, B equal to 6. And sp2 hybridized atoms are C. Side oxygen atoms, you can say these can be a sp2 hybridized because it is making 1 sigma bond and 2 lone pair. Pi bonds are not counted in the hybridization. So C equal to, how many side oxygens are present? 6. So what do you have to calculate? A minus B minus C divided by 3. 18 minus 12 divided by 3, you will get 18 minus 12 is 6 divided by 3, that is 2. So 6 by 3 is 2. 2 would be the answer. Let's check the answer to this question. The answer given is 2. So this is about the chemistry discussion. Now your next session would be of the mathematics. I am inviting Sunny sir for the mathematics session. Sunny sir, please take a further charge for the mathematics session. Thank you, sir. Paper was Paper was easier paper, you can say. The
Comparatively
cutoff
to-
should be those for this paper. If the students are getting more than 50% or more than 60% marks, that is the good score.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Hello everyone. Now we are going to discuss the second paper of mathematics part. Let's start. Okay. In the first question, A and B be two square matrices of order 3, then which of the following statements is or are true or correct? So the given part is that A and B are two square matrices of order 3 and nothing further is mentioned about A and B. So in first option they are saying A, B, A transpose is symmetric matrix. If it is a symmetric matrix, then this must be equal to its transpose. So if you calculate transpose, then A, B, A transpose, whole transpose will be A transpose. Order will be reversed. A transpose, whole transpose, B transpose, and then A transpose. So this will be A, B transpose, A transpose. So this is not equal to the original matrix, so this will not be symmetric until and unless we know that B is a symmetric matrix. Okay, so this option may not be true. Same in second option, AB minus BA is skew-symmetric matrix. So similarly, if AB minus BA is skew-symmetric, then this must be equal to minus times its transpose. So AB minus BA whole transpose will be AB whole transpose, that means B transpose A transpose, minus BA whole transpose, that will be A transpose B transpose. Again, nothing no information is given about A and B, that whether they are symmetric or not. So we cannot conclude anything for AB minus B. Again, option C, B is equal to determinant A into A inverse. A is invertible, determinant A is non-zero. Adjoint of A transpose minus B is skew-symmetric matrix. Now if we observe that B is determinant into A inverse, so that means B is adjoint of A. So B is adjoint of A, and we know the property that adjoint of A transpose can be written as adjoint of A whole transpose. So this is actually B transpose. B is adjoint of A. Now this is B transpose minus B is skew-symmetric matrix. Now this statement is true. So this is correct option. If B plus A transpose is null matrix and A is skew-symmetric matrix, that means A plus A transpose is null matrix. So we can say that B is equal to A, and A is 3 cross 3 skew-symmetric matrix. So that means B is 3 cross 3 skew-symmetric matrix. So B power 15 is also skew-symmetric. Obviously, if you raise odd power to a matrix, then that will be a skew-symmetric matrix only. So D option is also correct. Let's check the answer keys. C and D are correct. Okay, next, moving to question number 40. The coordinates of a point on the line this, which are at a distance 4 root 14 from the point 1 minus 1 0. If you observe this point 1 minus 1 0, this is on this line, and the line is represented using this point only. So let's assume a general point on this line. So this ratio is lambda. So the general point will be 2 lambda plus 1, comma minus 3 lambda minus 1 and lambda. So this is a general point, say P, on this line. Now distance of this point from the given point, we can calculate this distance in form of lambda. So this will be 4 lambda square plus 9 lambda square and plus lambda square under root. So this is actually root 14 mod of lambda. Okay, and this is given as 4 root 14. So that means mod lambda is 4. So that means lambda is plus or minus 4. So we have to find the points which lies on this line, which are at a distance 4 root 14 from the given point. We can just put the value of lambda here. We'll get the answer. If lambda is 4, then you can see 9 minus 13 and 4. So A is correct option. And similarly, if you put lambda is equal to minus 4, you will get C is also the correct option. Yeah, A and C are correct options. It was easy question. Okay, next, in the next question, the volume of a tetrahedron DABC is 1/6, and angle ACB is given 45 degree, AD plus BC plus AC by root 2 is 3. Then we have to comment on the some side lengths and angle. Okay, let's draw this tetrahedron. Say D, A, B, C. Something like this. This is tetrahedron DABC. Here angle ACB is given 45 degree. This is 45 degree. And the volume of this tetrahedron is 1/6. Okay, let's assume the side lengths. Say this length is alpha, the side length BC. This length is beta. And say this length is gamma. And this AD length is D. Okay. Now volume of this tetrahedron will be 1/3 into area of base. Say we are taking base as ABC. So area of base will be, we know this angle 45 degree. So half into alpha into beta into sine of the angle between them. That means 1/√2. So 1/3 area of base, half into product of two sides into angle between these two sides, into height. Say height of this tetrahedron from D on ABC plane is h. So into height h. Okay. So this is equal to 1/6. This volume was given 1/6. So we know that alpha into beta into h divided by √2. This is actually 1 because 6 will be cancelled out. Okay. Now we know one more relation between alpha, that means AD, D, BC means alpha and AC means beta. So alpha, beta and D. We know a relation between alpha, beta and D, that alpha plus beta by √2, that means AC by √2, okay, and plus D means AD, this is 3. Okay, and these are side lengths. Obviously alpha, beta and D are positive quantities. So if we apply AMGM here, so we'll get that alpha plus beta divided by √2 plus D divided by 3. This will be greater than or equal to alpha beta D divided by √2 whole power 1/3. From here we can calculate that alpha beta D upon √2 is smaller than or equal to 1 because this value is given as 3. Okay. So if alpha beta D upon √2 is smaller than or equal to 1, and we know alpha beta H upon √2 is 1, so that means D is smaller than or equal to H from here and here, from these two expressions. So D is smaller than or equal to H, but H is height from the point D on the base ABC. So we can say that D must be hypotenuse of this triangle. So D must be greater than H. But here we are saying that D is less than or equal to H. That means this equality will hold only if the AD length is only the height of this tetrahedron. That means this AD is perpendicular to the base ABC. So that means H is equal to D only. These are equal. So this equality must hold. If this equality holds in AMGM, then we can say that these values are equal. Then only this equality will hold. So that means these all three quantities are equal to 1. These are equal and their sum is 3. So that means alpha is 1, D is 1 and beta is √2. From here we concluded these informations. So what is alpha? So alpha is nothing but BC length. Okay. What is D? That is AD. AD is 1. So option C is correct. Now what is AC? AC is beta. That is √2. So this is also correct option. Now what will be CD? Now if this is perpendicular to the base, we now forget this height because AD is perpendicular to base. So this DAC triangle will be right angle triangle. So here we can apply Pythagoras. So AC square means beta square, matlab 2 plus AD square means 1 will be equal to CD square. So under root of this will be equal to CD length. So CD is, again we can conclude that it is root 3. Now we have to comment on the angle ABC, on this angle. Now in this triangle ABC, we know this angle ACB, this side length beta, this side length alpha, because alpha beta are known. Now we can calculate this AB length by applying cosine rule in this triangle. Okay, so according to cosine rule, cos of 45 degree means 1 by root 2 must be equal to alpha square plus beta square. That means 1 square plus 2 square. So 3 minus gamma square, opposite side ka square, divided by 2 alpha beta. That means 2 root 2. So from here, you can conclude that gamma is equal to 1. So if gamma is equal to 1 and alpha is also equal to 1, so these two sides are equal, so their opposite angles are also equal. So this angle must be also 45 degree. So this is 45, this is 45. So this angle we can comment. This angle is 90 degree. So D option must also be correct. Let's move to the answer. So all the 4 options are correct. Okay, move to the next question. Let the unit vectors A and B be perpendicular. A and B are perpendicular, so obviously we can say A dot B is 0. And they are unit vectors. And C is a unit vector which is inclined at angle theta with both A and B. So that means we can say that A dot C will be cos of theta, because both are unit vectors. So A dot C will be magnitude of C, both are unit vectors, into cos of angle between them. So cos of theta. Similarly, you can say that B dot C, because C is also inclined at an angle theta with B. So this will be also cos theta. We know this information. Now a relation is given between CAB and A cross B, that C cap is alpha A cap plus beta B cap plus gamma A cap cross B cap. Okay. Now if we take dot product both the sides with say A vector, A cap, we'll get A dot C, that means cos theta, will be equal to alpha A dot A, means alpha A dot B, that is 0. So this will be 0, plus gamma A cross B dot A, again that will be 0, because obviously A cross B is perpendicular to A. So from here we can conclude alpha is cos theta. Okay. Now again taking dot product here with B vector. So B dot C, that is also cos theta, will be A dot B, this is 0, plus beta B dot B, that means beta. Again A cross B is perpendicular to B also, so that will be 0. So beta is also cos theta. So option A is correct, that alpha is beta and both are equal to cos theta. And obviously option B is automatically incorrect option, that beta is sin theta. Now we have to comment on gamma square, the value of gamma square. So what we do is, let's take a dot product with C vector. So in the left hand side, we'll see that C dot C, that will be 1, is equal to A dot C, that is alpha only, A dot C, alpha is cos theta. So A dot C is alpha, so this will be alpha square, plus B dot C, again that will be beta, so this will be beta into beta, beta square. Again if we multiply or take a dot product with A cross B, so this will be gamma times scalar triple product of ABC. Now again taking dot product both the sides with A cross B. So in the left hand side we'll see that it will be ABC, scalar triple product of ABC, A cross B dot C. And here this will be 0, this will be 0, and this will be gamma, or you can say A cross B magnitude whole square. Now what will be the magnitude of A cross B? That will be magnitude A, magnitude B, that is 1, into sine of the angle between the A and B, that is 90 degrees, so that will be 1 only. So from here we can say that this scalar triple product is nothing but gamma, as this is equal to 1. So if we replace this scalar triple product here, we'll get 1 is equal to alpha square plus beta square plus gamma square. We can comment this. Now alpha and beta both are cos theta. So if we replace alpha and beta cos theta, so 1 is equal to 2 cos square theta plus gamma square. or you can say gamma square is nothing but 1 minus 2 cos square theta, and which is minus cos 2 theta. Now looking on the options, and here D is the correct option. Let's check the answers. Yeah, A and D are correct answers. Okay, moving on the next question. The probability that a student passes at least in one of the three examinations ABC is 0.75. And the probability that he passes in at least two of the examinations is 0.5. And the probability that he passes exactly two of the examinations is 0.4. If P1, P2, P3 are the respective probabilities of the student passing in ABC, then we have to comment on, or we have to check some relations between P1, P2, P3. Okay, so if we move using a Venn diagram, say this is A, this is B, this is C. Now say this portion, probability of happening this portion is alpha 1. That means probability that the student passes only in the examination A, that is alpha 1. And similarly, say this is alpha 2, this is alpha 3. Say this portion, this region, this is beta 2, this is beta 1, this is beta 3. And say this is gamma. Now if we say that a student passes in examination A, that means his probability will be alpha 1 plus beta 2 plus gamma plus beta 1, addition of these four portions. If we say that student passes in both A and B, that means we are talking about beta 2 plus gamma. If we say that student passes in all the three exams, that means we are looking for gamma only. Okay, now forming some equations, we have given that if he passes in at least of the three subjects, then the probability is 0.75. But that means sum of all these values is 0.75, or you can say 3 by 4. So alpha 1, or you can say directly summation, reducing some calculation, summation alpha I, that means alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus alpha 3, plus summation beta I, that means beta 1 plus beta 2 plus beta 3, plus gamma. This is the probability that he passes in at least one of these subjects, and this is given as 0.75. Similarly, in the next statement, it says that if he passes in at least two of the examinations, so that means we are looking for this region in which he passes at least two of the examinations, and that is summation beta I plus gamma. Summation beta I plus gamma, that is given as 0.5. Now he is saying that if he passes in exactly two of the examinations, that means he wants to ignore this portion, because in this portion he passes all the three examinations. So if he passes in exactly two exams, that means beta 1 plus beta 2 plus beta 3. These are the three regions in which he passes exactly two of the examinations. So summation beta I is given as 0.4. So that means gamma is 0.1. Simply. So this is some of the information, and similarly you can calculate summation alpha I, because if summation beta and gamma are known, so you can directly comment that summation alpha I will be 0.25. Okay? Okay. Now we have to find P1 plus P2 plus P3 in option 1. That means P1 means this complete, plus P2 this complete. So beta 2 gamma, this will be in repetition. So if we say that P1 plus P2 plus P3, sum of the probabilities of these three subjects, so that will be, I think, alpha 1 plus alpha 2 plus alpha 3, they will be counted single. So summation alpha I. Now beta I will be counted twice, because once in just like if beta 1 is counted in A, then beta 1 is also counted in C. So this will be plus 2 times summation of beta I, and plus gamma will be counted thrice, so plus 3 gamma. So we have to calculate this if we want to calculate P1 plus P2 plus P3. So summation alpha I is 1 by 4, 0.25. Summation beta I is 0.4. That means this will be 8 by 10. Similarly 3 gamma. So 3 gamma is 3 by 10. If we add this, You can take LCM common, that is 20. So this will be 5, this will be 16, and here it will be 6. So this is 27 by 20. We can comment here like this. So obviously option A is correct. Now we have to comment on P1, P2, P3, P1, P2, P2, P3, product of 2 taken at a time, product of all 3. So product of all 3 means you are saying actually P1 into P2 into P3 means probability of A intersection B intersection C, because these are independent events. So this can be written as probability of A into probability of B into probability of C, means P1 into P2 into P3. So we are looking for a common region, means we are looking for gamma. So what is this probability? So this is 0.1. So that means P1 into P2 into P3 is 0.1, or you can say 1 by 10. We can comment here. So option C is also correct option. Now we'll look for P1, P2 plus P2, P3 plus P3, P1. So we can also calculate this. So P1, P2 is common of P1 and P2. So beta 2 plus gamma. Similarly, common of P2, P3, beta 3 plus gamma. Similarly, beta 1 plus gamma. So basically we are looking for summation beta I plus 3 gamma. So what is summation bi? That is 0.4. And what is 3 gamma? That is 0.3. So it is 0.7 or 7 by 10. So you can check option D is also correct option. Now if you want to comment on P1 square plus P2 square plus P3 square, obviously we know sum of PIs and sum of product of PIs taken 2 at a time. So if we, you can say square this expression both the sides, equation both the sides. In the left hand side, P1 square plus P2 square plus P3 square will be there, plus 2 times this will be there. So if you check the calculation, this will not be equal to 1. Okay? So this is incorrect option. You can calculate it easily using A plus B plus C whole square. So let's move to the answers. Here it's A, C and D. Okay, in question number 44, okay, they are saying that from an urn containing X white and Y minus X black balls, there are total say Y balls. Out of this, X are white and Y minus X are black. Okay. So if N balls have been lost, we don't know whether white or black, but we know that N balls are lost. Then we have to find the probability of drawing a white ball. You know, until and unless the result or the final result of this statement is not given, then the probability will remain same. Whether N is 2, 3, 4 or 5 or 0, the probability will not change. Otherwise you can calculate it using total probability theorem also. But until and unless that result is not given, that which ball is missing or lost, white or black, then the result will be independent of N. So initially if we say that what is the probability of drawing a white ball, then you will say, sir, X are total white balls available, total balls are Y, so the probability must be X by Y. So in option 1, before the loss X by Y, and after the loss also the probability will be X by Y only, whether the N is 1, 2, 3, until and unless the information about the color is not given. Okay. So all the 4 options must be correct options. In all the 4 options, the probability is given as X by Y. Yeah, all are correct options. Okay, let's move to the question stem. Okay, in the first stem, P and Q belongs to this set 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 20, and there are 3 linear equations given in X, Y and Z. Now L denotes the number of ordered pairs of P and Q. P and Q are involved in the last equation you can see here. So P and Q, L denotes the number of ordered pairs of P and Q, so that this system of equations has a unique solution. Obviously we can comment the type of solutions of this equation, whether this equation system will have unique solution or infinitely many solutions or no solution. So on that, you can say on behalf of type of solutions, L, M, N are defined. That means number of ordered pairs of PQ such that the equation has unique solution or no solution or infinitely many solution. So we can easily comment on all these Just we have to calculate del x, del y, del z. Determinants corresponding to using Cramer's rule, we can solve this. So say del is the determinant formed by the coefficients. So this will be 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2 and 1, 3, p. So if you solve this, this will be equal to, I think, minus p if you calculate this value. Now similarly we can calculate del x first. So del x will be that replace the column corresponding to the coefficient of x by the constants available in the right hand side. So in place of 1 to 1 we can write 4, 6 q and this 1, 1, 2 and 1, 3 p will remain same. And again on calculation we can calculate this easily. You can expand this. This will be 4 times I think p minus 6 and again here we will get minus 6p minus 6. So this will be minus 2p. I think this will be 2q minus 2p minus 12. On expansion del x will be 2q minus 2p minus 12. Similarly you can calculate del y and del z. I think this will be 6 minus q. Okay, now if p is non-zero, del is non-zero, so that means this system of equations will have a unique solution. So we have to select p and q from this set such that p is non-zero, q can be any quantity. So non-zero p, for non-zero p we have 20 options and for q we have 21 options. So total there will be 20 into 21 ordered pairs of p and q, p comma q. So L is basically 20 into 21. So L by 140, so I think this is 420, so this will be 3. So for question 45, we must have the answer as 3. Yeah, 3 is the answer. Okay, moving on to question number 46, again LMN. The question is based on LMN. So you can see that we have to calculate the ordered pairs of PQ when there is no solution and when there are infinitely many solutions. You can see that if P is equal to 0 and Q is not equal to 6, then del will be 0, but del x, del y, del z will not be 0. So this equation will have no solution. So for the values of M, we are saying P must be 0 and Q must not be 6. So for P we have only one choice, 0, and for Q we have 20 choices other than 6. So M must be equal to 20. Similarly, we can calculate N for infinitely many solutions. P must be 0. Similarly, Q must be 6. For P is equal to 0 and Q is equal to 6, you can see the equation will have infinitely many solutions. Or using planes also we can comment that twice of this minus this will be the equation 3 when P is 0 and Q is 6. So this will be family of planes, infinitely many solutions will be there. So we can say for N, both P and Q have one choice only. So the value of N will be 1. There will be only one ordered pair. So M20, N1. So L was 420. M was 20, N was 1, minus 19 divided by 140. So again this is cancelled out, again the answer is 3. So for question number 46, again the answer must be 3. Yeah, 3 is the answer. Moving on to the question number 47. A JEE aspirant estimates that she will be successful with an 80% chance if she studies 10 hours per day. Okay. If she studies for 10 hours, she knows that her chances of success are 80%, means probability is 8 by 10. Similarly, for 7 hours study, her chances of success is 60%, means 6 by 10. And for 4 hours of study per day, she knows that her chances of success are 40%. That means 4 divided by 10. Now further, she believes that she will study 10 hours, 7 hours, 4 hours a day with probabilities 0.1, 0.2 and 0.7 respectively. That means probability of studying 10 hours is 0.1 or 1 by 10. For 7 hours the probability is 2 by 10 and for 4 hours the probability is 7 by 10. Now these events are mutually exclusive as well as mutually exhaustive. So we can apply total probability theorem to calculate her chances of success. Now, the question is the chance that she will be succeeded is P, then we have to comment on 25P by 3. So directly applying total probability theorem, the chances of success will be, I think first that she studies 10 hours, that probability is 1 by 10, into when she studies 10 hours, her chances of success are 8 by 10. Or she studies 7 hours, that means 2 by 10 probability, into she succeeds when she studies 10 hours, or 7 hours. So 6 by 10. Similarly, for 4 hours, we can say it is 7 by 10 into 4 by 10. So this will be 8 plus 12 plus 28 divided by 100. This is nothing but 48 divided by 100, or we can say 12 by 25. This is the value of P. Okay. So that means 25P divided by 3. 4 must be the answer, I think. For question number 47. Yeah, 4 is the answer. In next question, in the same data, given that she is successful. Now this is given that she is successful. Now what are the chances that she studied for 4 hours? We have to calculate this. The probability is given as Q. Then we have to comment on 12Q. Okay. So this is simply Bayes' theorem. Say probability that she studied 4 hours per day, ST4, studied 4 hours, given that she is successful. Okay. Into probability that she is successful that we calculated earlier, that was 12 by 25. Okay. In the last question. So this must be equal to probability of intersection of both these two cases, that she studied 4 hours and got successful. So that must be equal to probability that she studied for 4 hours and that probability was given 0.7, or you can say 7 by 10. And after that, if she studied 4 hours, then that she was successful. That probability, I think that was given 0.4. That means 4 upon 10. So here we can say Q will be equal to, I think, 7 upon 12. So we have to comment on 12Q. The answer must be 7. Yes, 7 is the answer. Okay, next. Consider matrix A, 3 minus 1, 1 minus 1. Okay, matrix A and B are given. P is orthogonal matrix. That means P into P transpose is equal to P transpose into P is equal to identity matrix. And again, Q and R, S and T are defined like this. In question 1, we are talking about the matrix R. So we have to first calculate this. Okay. So we say R is P transpose Q power K P. So first we have to calculate Q power K. So Q power K will be P A P transpose whole power K. That means P A P transpose, P A P transpose, and so on K times. So from here you can see that P transpose into P, that is identity. This is identity. Again, there will be identity matrix. So Q power K will be P A will multiplied K times, and in last there will be P transpose. So this is Q power K. Again, if we pre-multiply Q power K by P transpose, then it will be A power K into P transpose, and post multiply by P, then we can say that P transpose Q power K P will be equal to actually A power K. So R is nothing but A power K, and A is given to you. So in the first question, if we vary k, because obviously if A is given, then A power k will be based, I think, may be based on k. So if we vary k from 1 to n, then first row, first column, I mean 1 position element of R will form an AP with common difference. We have to comment on the common difference. So A is given. So let's calculate A square. So A square will be 3 minus 4, 1 minus 1 into 3 minus 4, 1 minus 1. So this is, I think we can easily calculate this product. So 9 minus 4, 5. Then you can see minus 12 plus 4, minus 8. And again 3 minus 1, 2. And 4 plus 1, 5. We are getting this. A square. Now they are saying that if we vary k from 1 to n, so that means A power k, A power 1, A power 2, A power 3 and so on. In that sequence or sequence of matrices, the 1 position element forms an AP. So if it forms an AP, the first element here in A power 1 is 3 and in A square that is 5. So what is the common difference? I think 2 must be the answer. Let's check the answer. Yeah, it is 2. In next question, again they are saying and asking about R only. So that means this data is excess data, just to make a confusion. We don't need this data. Okay, in second question, if we vary k from 1 to n, the second row and second column elements of R will form an AP. Again, 2, 2 position element. We have to comment on 2, 2 position. So on 2, 2 position, if we look on this position, if we calculate again A square, again just to calculation, check the calculation. Now this will be minus 4 plus 1. This is minus 3. Okay. So if we move from minus 1 to minus 3, I think if AP is formed, the common difference will be minus 2. Okay. But we have to calculate mod D. So that means mod of minus 2 is 2. 2 is the answer. Let's check again. 2 is the answer of question number 50 also. Moving to the next question. Okay. Again, there are 3 vectors given. P and Q are given vectors. And there is a vector R which satisfies these 2 conditions. We have to comment on PQR. So let's taking a dot product with Q on both the sides. So if I will multiply Q taking dot product, this will be PRQ or minus PQR. If order is changed, there will be a change of minus sign only. And here it will be Q dot Q, that means mod of Q square, that is 3, and plus C times P dot Q. P dot Q is 1. So this is 3 plus C. Now if we calculate C, we will get the answer scalar triple product PQR. Okay. If we multiply both sides by say P, so this taking a dot product, so this will be 0 is equal to P dot Q. We have calculated this is 1 and plus C times magnitude of P square, that is 3. So 3C, C is equal to minus 1 by 3. So if we put C here minus 1 by 3, so this will be 8 by 3. So PQR will be minus 8 by 3. B must be the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Okay, again we calculated this in the earlier question and this was minus 8 by 3. Option B was correct. So minus 8 by 3 x vector is nothing but this P cross Q cross R, and which is P dot R, which is 2 given, into Q vector minus Q dot R into P vector. Again, if we calculate Q dot R, we will get x vector. We have to find the x vector. So taking dot product of R from both the sides, left hand side will become 0, right hand side it will be Q dot R plus C into P dot R. P dot R is 2. So from here we can comment that Q dot R is nothing but minus 2C and C was minus 1 by 3. So this will be 2 by 3. Now replacing Q dot R as 2 by 3, then this will be minus 8 x vector divided by 3 is 2q vector minus 2p vector by 3. Taking LCM or multiplying complete equation by 3, this will be minus 8x vector is 6q cap minus 2p cap, or 6q vector minus 2p vector. Now 6q minus 2p, p and q are given, you can directly calculate this. So I think this will be 4 I cap minus 8 j cap plus 4 k cap, and divide by minus 8. So this will be x vector. Cancelling 4, you will get answer will be I minus 2j plus k divided by minus 2, and which is option D. I think this is correct option. Let's check. D is the correct answer. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is given that AI's are prime numbers and BI's belongs to natural numbers. So both are integral quantities. And this n is expressed as product of AI power BI, where AI is smaller than AI plus 1. That means A1, A2, A3, A4 are in increasing order. So if we calculate this value, this will be 77 into 30 minus 7 into 44. So I think this will be 2310 minus this is I think 308. So if we subtract this, this will be 2002, which can be expressed as 2 into 7 into 11 into 13, 2002. And we are saying that this is nothing but A1 power B1, A2 power B2, A3 power B3, and A4 power B4. So A1, A2, A3, A4 are prime numbers and in increasing order. So directly by comparison, we can see that B1, B2, B3, B4, these all quantities are 1. A1 is 2, A2 is 7, A3 is 11, and A4 is 13. So in the first question, we have to calculate sum of AIs plus sum of BIs. Sum of BIs will be 4 because every quantity will be 1. And sum of AIs, we can calculate that this is 33. So 33 plus 4, 37 must be the correct answer. Okay. Yeah, 37. D option is correct answer. In next question, again there is some data that they define two circles in the matrix form. So if we observe this, because we have calculated AIs and BIs, A1 is 2, so this will be 2x square, and B1 plus B2 is again 2. So 2x square plus 2y square is 8. So x square plus y square is equal to 4 is circle C1. Similarly, circle C2, again this is 1 and 1. So x plus y whole square plus x minus y whole square is equal to 2. So circle C2 will be again 2x square plus 2y square is 2. So x square plus y square is equal to 1. These are two circles C1 and C2. Both centers are same, 0, 0. Now they are saying radius of circle which passes through center of C2, that means origin, and which touches the circle C1. So obviously passing through center of C1 or C2, the point is same, but touching the circle C1. So we have plotted C1 was radius is 4, radius is 2. So a circle which passes through origin and touches this, so that will be like this, was diameter will be radius of C1, that means 2. So radius of that required circle must be 1. So according to this, answer must be A for this question. Yeah, A is the correct answer. Now moving on the last section of this paper, we have to find the distance of the point of intersection of these two lines from a given point 1 minus 4, 7. So first we have to find the point of intersection of these two lines. So assuming this ratio is equal to lambda, this ratio is equal to mu. Now you can write a point on this line that will be lambda plus 4, minus 3 minus 4 lambda, 7 lambda minus 1. Similarly, you can write a point in form of mu on that line that will be 2 mu plus 1, minus 3 mu minus 1, 8 mu minus 10. Now if we are saying that both the lines have a common point, if the lines are intersecting, then for some lambda and mu, these will be the, you can say, these are the same points. So if we observe, or you can equate and solve for lambda and mu, you will get that lambda is equal to 1, mu is equal to 2. For this, these values of lambda and mu, these will be the same points, and the common point on the lines will be 5, -7, 6. You can check by putting lambda is equal to 1 or mu is equal to 2. So this is the point of intersection of these two lines. We have to find its distance from 1, -4, 7. So by directly applying this distance formula, you can say the distance will be under root of 5 - 1 whole square, that means 16, -7 - 4, so that means 3 square plus 9, and then 6 - 7 minus 1 square, that means 1. So distance is actually root of 26, which will be 5 point something. So that is lambda, the distance. So a greatest integer of the distance is 5. So answer must be 5. 5 is the answer. Okay, next question. There is a 3x3 matrix with real entries, and given that M transpose into M is identity matrix of order 3, we have to find the value of determinant of M square minus I3. What is I3? I3 is M transpose into M. We can replace it. We have to find this. Now, this can be expressed as determinant of M minus M transpose into determinant of M. We have to find the value of this, taking M common from both. We can express this product as M square minus M transpose into M. So now M is a 3x3 matrix, and M minus M transpose, obviously this will be skew-symmetric matrix. So determinant of skew-symmetric matrix of odd order, this is 0. So final answer must be 0. Okay. Moving on to the last question of this part. Answer is 0 here. Okay, the last question says that a bag contains P white and Q black balls. Two players, Tom and Jerry, alternatively draw a ball from the bag. There are total P white and Q black balls. Tom and Jerry alternatively draw a ball from the bag, replacing the ball each time after the draw. They replace the ball when they draw the ball. Okay. Now they are saying the player who gets a white ball first will win the game. And they are saying that if Tom begins the game and the probability of Tom winning the game is 3 times the that of Jerry, that means probability of Tom winning is 3/4 and probability of Jerry winning the game is 1/4. Okay. Probability of Tom is 3 times probability of Jerry. Obviously one of them will win the game, so you can calculate easily. Their sum will be 1 and the ratio is also given. Then we have to calculate this. Okay, we have to calculate the ratio of Q and P. So we are given that probability of Tom winning the game is 3/4. Now how Tom can win the game? Either in the first draw, Tom starts the game, and in the first draw, Tom draws a white ball. The probability will be P upon P plus Q. Now here you can say that Tom won the game, or you can say in first draw, Tom gets a black ball and replaces his back. The probability is Q upon P plus Q. Again, in the second draw will be of Jerry. Now he must not win the game. He must draw a black ball only. So drawing a black ball is by Jerry is again Q upon P plus Q. So it's all square. And in the third row, Tom wins the game. So P upon P plus Q. Now like this, you will see that an infinite GP will take place or form. We have to calculate the sum of infinite GP, taking P upon P plus Q common. Then 1 plus R square and so on. So the sum will be 1 upon 1 minus Q square upon P plus Q whole square. Now taking LCM, you will see that it is P into P plus Q divided by P into P plus 2Q. Simply taking LCM. So P is again cancelled out. Now this probability is given as 3/4. From here you can see that P is equal to 2Q. That number of white balls in the bag present were double the number of black balls. So we got the ratio of Q by P, which is half. If Q by P is half, then again we have to find the sum of an infinite GP which starts from 1. So 1 plus half square and so on. So this answer obviously 1 upon 1 minus half, and that is 2. So answer must be 2. Let's check the answer. Yeah, 2 is the answer. Okay, thank you. Now I invite Ramesh sir for physics. Sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Right. Hello students, I am Ramesh Sharma, physics faculty, Aakash Invictus, and today we are here for the discussion for Invictus test series. So let's start the discussion. This section contains 6 multiple choice questions, one or more than one correct. Now let's move on to the question. A neutron of kinetic energy K collide head-on with helium plus atom at rest in ground state. The possible value of K to ensure elastic collision. So एक न्यूट्रॉन जो है काइनेटिक एनर्जी K के साथ हीलियम प्लस एटम से स्ट्राइक कर रहा है और इलास्टिक कोलिजन के लिए हमको कंडीशन निकालनी है. नाउ सो लेट्स ड्रॉ न्यूट्रॉन with some kinetic energy K. It is colliding with He plus atom in ground state. Now, if the mass of the neutron is m, तो He plus atom का जो mass होगा that will be 4 times of m. Let us suppose the initial speed of the neutron be u. Now, for elastic collision, condition for elastic collision, maximum loss in the collision should be less than minimum excitation energy from ground state, क्योंकि initially ground state में अपने को दिया हुआ है from ground state. Now, for helium plus atom in ground state, its electron is in ground state, n is equal to 1. So minimum excitation energy is from n is equal to 1 to n is equal to 2. So minimum excitation energy for He plus is 40.8 eV. Now putting the value here, so maximum loss in kinetic energy should be less than 40.8 eV. Now maximum loss for a collision is half m1 m2, that means m into 4m divided by sum of the masses, which is 5m, into initial speed, and this is at rest, so u square, m will cancel out, half m u square is kinetic energy of neutron, and this is 4 by 5 times less than 40.8 eV. Now from here, K comes out to be less than 51 eV. So incoming neutron का जो kinetic energy है वो 51 eV से कम होना चाहिए. Now let's see the option. So option A 51 eV से कम है, B भी कम है, C भी कम है और D भी कम है. So A, B, C, D should be the answer. Now let's check the answer. So A, B, C, D are the answers. Now let's move on to the next question. Bichromatic light of wavelength lambda 1 and lambda 2 is focused on Le2 plus atom sample. तो मान के चल रहे हैं कि Le2 plus जो है ग्राउंड स्टेट में होगा. Emission spectrum gives 10 spectral line. Mark incorrect option. यहाँ पर अपने को incorrect option mark करना है. Incorrect option. Okay. So Le2 plus atom, lithium 2 plus एटम ग्राउंड स्टेट में है और इसके ऊपर हम लैम्डा 1 लैम्डा 2 फोटॉन्स फॉल करवा रहे हैं 2 वेवलेंथ के, और इलेक्ट्रॉन जो है एक्साइट होके किसी हायर एनर्जी स्टेट में जाएगा, किसी nth स्टेट में जाएगा आफ्टर एब्जॉर्बिंग the wavelengths. So for absorption of a wavelength, 1 by lambda is equal to r z square 1 minus 1 by n square. Here n should be integer and should be greater than 1. वही वेवलेंथ एब्जॉर्ब होगी जिसके लिए n इंटीजर आएगा. नाउ लेट्स चेक. फॉर लैम्डा इज इक्वल टू 1 बाई 8r, यहाँ पर n का वैल्यू 3 आएगा, और फॉर दिस वैल्यू n एक फ्रैक्शन आएगा, तो ये वाला लैम्डा एब्जॉर्ब नहीं होगा. सिमिलरली यहाँ चेक किया जाए तो यहाँ n का वैल्यू 5 आएगा और इसके लिए n का वैल्यू 6 आएगा. इस तरफ चेक किया जाए तो ये एब्जॉर्ब नहीं होगा और यहाँ n का वैल्यू 5 आएगा, और यहाँ चेक किया जाए तो ये n का वैल्यू 2 आएगा और ये n का वैल्यू 3 आएगा. नाउ एमिशन स्पेक्ट्रम में 10 स्पेक्ट्रिकल लाइंस हैं, तो n इज इक्वल टू 3 से 10 स्पेक्ट्रिकल लाइन पॉसिबल नहीं है, तो ये हमारा इनकरेक्ट ऑप्शन है. हमें इनकरेक्ट ऑप्शन मार्क करना है. ऑप्शन ए इज इनकरेक्ट. नाउ फॉर ऑप्शन बी, n इज इक्वल टू 5 से एग्जैक्टली 10 स्पेक्ट्रिकल लाइन मिलेंगी, तो ये सही बात है, लेकिन हमको इनकरेक्ट ऑप्शन चूज करना है. ऑप्शन सी में n इज इक्वल टू 5 और n इज इक्वल टू 6, यानी जो नंबर ऑफ स्पेक्ट्रिकल लाइन्स हैं वो 10 से ज़्यादा हो जाएंगी, इसलिए ये भी इनकरेक्ट ऑप्शन है. सिमिलरली ऑप्शन डी के लिए n इज इक्वल टू और n इज इक्वल टू 3 मिला के जो है 10 से कम स्पेक्ट्रिकल लाइन होंगी, तो ये भी इनकरेक्ट ऑप्शन है. तो इनकरेक्ट ऑप्शंस आर ए, सी एंड डी. So let's see the answer. A, C and D are incorrect. Now let's move on to the next question. 4 identical coherent sources S1, S2, S3, S4 of wavelength lambda and in phase are mounted on rod such that they are equidistant. Okay, the distance between them is equal to small d. Rod rotates at the rate of 2 degree per second anti-clockwise. At t is equal to 0, rod is oriented along radial line having light detector. Assuming capital D is very very greater than 4 small d, mark the correct option. All right. So थोड़ा इसको simplify कर लेते हैं. We have a rod जिस पर 4 sources हमने माउंट किए हुए. तो let us suppose this is S1, this is S2, this is S3 and this is S4. Now this rod is rotating with angular speed 2 degree per second. Now there is a fixed reference line जहाँ से थीटा मेजर हो रहा है, तो this is the fixed reference line, और इस फिक्स रेफरेंस लाइन पर यहाँ पर एक डिटेक्टर है, लाइट डिटेक्टर, और इस P पॉइंट पर दिस इज पॉइंट ऑफ इंटरफेरेंस. यहाँ पर सभी वेव का इंटरफेरेंस हमको स्टडी करना है. नाउ सोर्सेज आर इक्विडिस्टेंस, सो इफ दिस डिस्टेंस इज d, दिस इज आल्सो d और ये भी d है. लेट अस सपोज एट एनी टाइम t दिस एंगल भी थीटा, ये एंगल थीटा है. नाउ P पॉइंट पर S1, S2, S3 और S4 से निकलने वाली वेव का सुपरपोजिशन होगा. तो S1 से निकलने वाली वेव और S2 से निकलने वाली वेव के बीच का पाथ डिफरेंस हम लोग देख सकते हैं. इफ़ दिस इज D, अगर ये D है, ये एंगल किसी इंस्टेंट पे थीटा है, तो परपेंडिकुलर ड्रॉप किया तो ये पाथ का जो डिफरेंस है, दिस डिफरेंस इज D cos थीटा. सिमिलरली S2, S3 के बीच में पाथ डिफरेंस देख सकते हैं, अगेन परपेंडिकुलर ड्रॉप करेंगे, दिस इज D cos थीटा. उसी तरीके से S3 और S4 वाली वेव्स के बीच का पाथ डिफरेंस भी हम देख सकते हैं, अगेन इट विल बी D cos थीटा. सो सक्सेसिव वेव्स या सक्सेसिव सोर्सेस के बीच का जो पाथ डिफरेंस है P पॉइंट के लिए, दैट इज D cos थीटा. नाउ करस्पॉन्डिंग टू D cos थीटा वी कैन कैलकुलेट द फेज डिफरेंस फॉर सक्सेसिव वेव्स. सो द फेज डिफरेंस phi is 2 pi by lambda into D cos theta. This is the phase difference between successive waves. Now अगर P पॉइंट पर, P पॉइंट के लिए हम फेजर डायग्राम ड्रॉ करें और रिजल्टेंट एम्पलीट्यूड निकालें, तो 4 वेव हैं, तो 4 एम्पलीट्यूड वेक्टर्स आएंगे. तो ये 4 एम्पलीट्यूड वेक्टर्स मैंने फेजर डायग्राम पे ड्रॉ किए हैं, क्योंकि सक्सेसिव वेव्स के बीच में जो फेज डिफरेंस है वो फाई है, सेम है, तो ये एंगल फाई होगा, दिस एंगल विल आल्सो बी फाई एंड दिस एंगल विल आल्सो बी फाई। कंजिक्यूटिव सक्सेसिव वेव्स के बीच का जो एंगल है वो फाई है, फेज डिफरेंस इज फाई। नाउ दिस इज द रिजल्टेंट एम्पलीट्यूड, ये हमारा रिजल्टेंट एम्पलीट्यूड होगा ए आर। द कंडीशन वी आर लुकिंग फॉर, हम मिनिमा की कंडीशन ढूंढ रहे हैं, वी आर लुकिंग फॉर मिनिमा, मिनिमम इंटेंसिटी वी आर लुकिंग फॉर। तो मिनिमम इंटेंसिटी के लिए अगर P पॉइंट पर इंटेंसिटी मिनिमम होनी है तो फॉर रिजल्टेंट इंटेंसिटी टू बी मिनिमम, रिजल्टेंट एम्पलीट्यूड शुड बी जीरो, ये एम्पलीट्यूड रिजल्टेंट जीरो होना चाहिए। फॉर रिजल्टेंट एम्पलीट्यूड टू बी जीरो, ये जो वेक्टर डायग्राम है क्लोज लूप होना चाहिए। दैट मीन्स फाई का जो टोटल सम है, सभी फाइज का जो सम है वो इंटीग्रल मल्टीपल ऑफ 2 पाई होना चाहिए। दैट मीन्स 4 टाइम्स ऑफ फाई शुड बी इक्वल टू 2n पाई। सो फाई का वैल्यू पुट करते हैं तो 4 टाइम्स ऑफ 2 पाई बाई लैम्डा इंटू डी कॉस थीटा शुड बी इक्वल टू 2n पाई। So 2 pi will cancel out and we are left with 4 by lambda d cos theta is equal to n. This is the condition for minima where n is integer, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3, n is integer. All right. Now for at t is equal to 30 second, t is equal to 30 second की यहाँ पर बात कर रहा है, तो t इज इक्वल टू 30 सेकेंड्स पर हम लोग थीटा का वैल्यू पुट करते हैं। तो एट t इज इक्वल टू 30 सेकेंड, ओमेगा मुझे दिया बाय 2 डिग्री पर सेकेंड, तो जो थीटा होगा, थीटा विल बी 60 डिग्री। सो उसको यहाँ पुट किया जाए तो थीटा को 60 डिग्री पुट करने पर वी हैव 4 बाई लैम्डा डी कॉस 60 इज इक्वल टू n, वेयर n इज इंटीजर। तो ये मेरे पास cos थीटा इज 1/2 और इसको कैंसिल करूंगा मैं, तो d बाई 2d बाई लैम्डा इज इक्वल टू n, फॉर n इज इक्वल टू 1, d कम्स आउट टू बी लैम्डा बाई 2। सो d इज लैम्डा बाई 2 फॉर मिनिमा। कब? जब t 30 सेकेंड्स है। सो द मिनिमम वैल्यू ऑफ d इज d1। डिडक्टर ऑब्जर्व्स इंटेंसिटी मिनिमम एट t इज इक्वल टू 30 सेकेंड फॉर d1 is equal to lambda by 2. So this is the correct option. Lambda by 2 पर हमको मिनिमा मिल रहा है। Now let's check other option too. For d is equal to 5d1. So for d is equal to 5d1, 4 by lambda, 5d1 means 5 lambda by 2 इंटू कॉस थीटा इज इक्वल टू n। तो यहाँ से कॉस थीटा का जो वैल्यू है इट कम्स आउट टू बी n बाई 10। सो वी आर चेकिंग एट d इज इक्वल टू 5d1 यानी 5 लैम्डा बाई 2 पर। सो यहाँ से जो कॉस थीटा की एक्सेप्टेबल वैल्यू आएंगी, कॉस थीटा विल बी 1/10, 2/10 करते करते 10/10 तक। सो फ्रॉम 0 टू पाई बाई 2 देर आर 10 वैल्यूज, ये 10 वैल्यूज हैं, मीन्स 10 मिनिमाज हैं, मीन्स 10 मिनिमाज हमारे पास हैं। सो एक कंप्लीट रोटेशन में, एक क्वाड्रेंट में मुझे 10 मिनिमा मिल रहे हैं, तो फॉर कंप्लीट रोटेशन में विल गेट 40 मिनिमाज। सो इन कंप्लीट रोटेशन, in one complete rotation, there are 40 minimas for d is equal to 5 lambda by 2. So let's check the option. So for d is equal to 5d1 means 5 lambda by 2, detector observes minimum intensity 40 times in one rotation. So this is the correct option. Similarly, we can check option B and D and find option D will also be correct with a similar analysis. Now let's move on to the next question. Two identical thin equiconvex lens L1, L2 of focal length 20 centimeter in air have common principal axis. Both are half submerged in water. Number of images formed by L2 is capital N, where capital N lies between 2 to 4. Mark correct option. Correct option हमको mark करना है. Now for this, first draw the diagram. We have two lenses, L1 and L2. We have two lenses, L1 and L2. Half part is dipped in water and the refractive index of water is given to us. And the focal length, this is lens L1, this is lens L2, and their separation is given as Y. There is a point object which is placed at a distance x from L1. The focal length in air is given as F air is equal to 20 centimeter. So by refractive indexes, we can calculate focal length in water. Focal length, refractive index of water is given as 4/3, and the material of the lens, its refractive index will take 1.5. So focal length in water comes out to be 80 centimeter. Comes out to be 80 centimeter. Now, let's see option A. For x is equal to this range and y is equal to this, upper half L2 produce n minus 1 images. So number of images formed by L2 is n. Then number of images formed by upper half of L2 is n minus 1 images. All right, ये हमको check करना पड़ेगा. So for x lying between 40 centimeter to 60 centimeter and y less than 30 centimeter, first of all यहाँ से निकलने वाली रे L1 से strike होंगी. So for air part of L1, for L1, 1 by F air is equal to 1 by V minus 1 by U. Now I am checking for limiting case. So 1 by V minus 1 by U minus 60, 1 by F air is given 20. तो यहाँ से V का वैल्यू निकल के आएगा 30 सेंटीमीटर. V is coming as 30 सेंटीमीटर. Now ये V अपने पास 30 सेंटीमीटर आया है और Y जो है itself 30 सेंटीमीटर से कम है, यानी यहाँ से निकलने वाली जो रे हैं जो अपर पार्ट को हिट करेंगी, एयर वाले पार्ट को हिट करेंगी लेंस के, यहाँ से बेंड होके रिफ्रैक्ट होके कंफर्टेबली जो है सेकंड लेंस के अपर पार्ट से होते हुए दोबारा बेंड होते हुए कहीं यहाँ इमेज बनेगी. बिकॉज V इज 30 सेंटीमीटर एंड Y इज लेस देन 30 सेंटीमीटर, तो इसको हिट करते हुए यहाँ से बेंड होते हुए यहाँ इमेज बनाएगा अपर पार्ट ऑफ L2. बाय सिमिलर एनालिसिस फॉर FW 80 centimeter, focal length 80 centimeter, we can see this for this range, for X lying between 40 centimeter and 60 centimeter, the lower part of L1 will form virtual image. तो slide bending होगी और slide bending के बाद lower part of L2 से refract होते हुए ये lower part कहीं image यहाँ बनाएगा. Now in the question, n is defined as total number of images formed by L2. So total number of images formed by L2 is represented by n, and question is saying upper half of L2 produce n minus 1 images. So in this case, the total number of images formed by L2 is 2, while the number of images formed by the upper half is only 1. So this statement is true. By the same argument, we can see this. Option C will also be correct. So A and C will be the correct answers. Let's see the answers, A and C. Now, let's move on to the next question. Highly excited state of hydrogen-like atom, atomic number Z, with nuclear charge ZE, are defined by their principal quantum number n, where n is very, very greater than 1. Which of the following statements are correct? Okay. Relative change in the radii of the two consecutive orbitals does not depend on Z. Relative change in energy of two consecutive orbitals varies as 1 by n. ओके, सो इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट रिलेटिव चेंज. सो रिलेटिव चेंज हम लोग निकालते हैं रेडियस में, एंगुलर मोमेंटम में और एनर्जी में. तो कंसेक्यूटिव ऑर्बिटल के लिए फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल रेडियस ऑफ nth ऑर्बिट इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू n स्क्वायर बाई z. तो रिलेटिव चेंज डेल्टा आर एन बाई आर एन फॉर कंसेक्यूटिव ऑर्बिट्स will be n plus 1 whole square minus n square divided by n square. So clearly it is independent of z. It is independent of z. Independent of z. Now let us check the angular momentum. So angular momentum is given by nh upon 2 pi. So relative change in angular momentum, relative change in angular momentum for consecutive orbits will be n plus 1 minus n divided by n, and this n will cancel out, it comes out to be 1 by n, so inversely proportional to n. Now let's check the relative change in energy for consecutive orbitals. So energy of nth orbit depends upon z square by n square. So delta En upon में En is equal to 1 upon n plus 1 का whole square minus 1 by n square divided by 1 by n square. Now there is an approximation in the question given. We have n is very greater than 1. So for n is very greater than 1, this delta En by En will reduce to 1 by n. Now let's check the options. Relative change in the radii of two consecutive orbital does not depend on z. This is the correct statement. Relative change in energy of two consecutive orbitals varies as 1 by n. This is the correct statement. Relative change in energy of two consecutive orbitals varies as no. Relative change in angular momentum varies as 1 by n. This is correct statement. So A, B, D should be the correct answer. Now let's check the answer. So A, B and D are the correct answer. Now let's move on to the next question. Again a theoretical question is there. Which of the following statement about X-rays are correct? X-rays के लिए कौन से statements are correct हैं? So by energy levels we can see that this statement is correct. For second statement, for harder X-ray, the intensity is higher than soft X-ray. No, intensity depends upon the power of source. So this statement is incorrect. Now let's check the next statement. The continuous and the characteristic X-ray of same wavelength differ only in method of irrigation. Yes, continuous X-rays kinetic energy के loss से मिलती हैं और characteristic X-ray जो है transition की वजह से मिलती हैं, तो इनका क्रिएशन मेथड ऑफ क्रिएशन अलग है. दिस स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट. नाउ कट ऑफ वेवलेंथ लैम्डा मिनिमम डिपेंड्स ओनली ऑन द एक्सेलरेटेड वोल्टेज अप्लाइड बिटवीन टारगेट एंड द फिलामेंट. बिल्कुल सही बात है. एच सी बाई लैम्डा मिनिमम इज इक्वल टू ई वी, तो इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द एक्सेलरेटिंग वोल्टेज ओनली. सो डी इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. नाउ लेट्स सी द ऑप्शन. So A, C and D are correct options. Now let's move on to the next question. So in this section we have 3 question stems. Now let's move on to the question. A light beam of wavelength lambda from distant source is incident as shown. First order bright fringe are at position y1 and y2 where v1 and v2 are velocity respectively for d theta by dt. This assume s1 s2 gap small d is 4 lambda and d is equal to 1 meter and y1 is greater than y2, theta is this. Find the value of y1 minus y2. Okay, so there is a YDSC setup there and beam is falling on the slits at an angle theta with the reference line. So we have to solve it for the first maxima condition. Now for this let us draw the diagram. So this wave is falling on S1 and S2. So at an angle theta with the middle line. So there will be some initial path difference here. So if slit distance is small d, this initial path difference will be d sine theta. Now we are looking for first maxima. So for this, let us suppose the waves coming from S1 and S2 superimpose somewhere here on the screen, and let this distance be y, let this point be p, and let this angle be theta naught. So if this angle is theta naught, then again there will be a path difference of d sine theta naught. Now net path difference will be delta x is equal to d sine theta minus d sine theta naught. So take d common, sine theta minus sine theta naught delta x, and we are solving for first maxima. So for first maxima, delta x should be plus minus lambda, and small d is given in the question as 4 lambda. So sine theta minus sine theta naught. So lambda will cancel out. So plus minus 1 by 4 is equal to sine theta is also given in the question as 1 by 4 minus sine theta naught. From here, sine theta naught, from here we can solve for sine theta naught. Then theta naught will have two values. We'll get theta naught as 0 and 30 degree, 0 degree and 30 degree. Now we have to find this y. So this y will be, y is equal to d tan theta naught. So we already calculated the value of theta naught. Now we can calculate y. So y1 is capital D tan 30 degree, and y2 is d tan 0 degree. So from here tan 30 is 1 by root 3, and this comes out to be 0. So what we have to find? We have to find y1 minus y2 in the question. So y1 minus y2, y1 minus y2 becomes d by root 3, and d is given in the question as 1 meter. So putting here, so 1 by root 3, which is equal to 0.58 meter. So y1 minus y2 should be 0.58. So 0.58 is the correct answer. Now let's see the second part of this question. In the second part, since theta is changing with time, so this position of first maxima will also change with time. So it is asking for v1 minus v2. All right. So y is equal to d tan theta naught. So differentiating it for velocity, so dy by dt is equal to d sec squared theta naught d theta naught by dt. Now this is velocity v. Now there is a relation between d theta naught by dt and d theta by dt. Remember, in the question we have d theta by dt, and here we have d theta naught by dt. So there must be some relation between them. So delta x is d sine theta minus sine theta naught. So differentiating with respect to time. So differentiate it with respect to time. So 0 is equal to cos theta d theta by dt minus cos theta naught d theta naught by dt. So from here we can have d theta naught by dt in terms of d theta by dt. So this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. So putting the value of d theta naught by dt from equation 2, we'll have v as d sec cube theta naught cos theta d theta by dt. Now in the question we have all the values. We have d, we have theta naught, we have sine theta, so we can calculate cos theta, and d theta by dt is also given in the question. So we can find velocity v1 and v2 for theta naught is equal to 30 degree. We can find velocity v1 for theta naught is equal to 0 degree, we can find velocity v2, and we have to find the velocity difference. So v1 minus v2 will comes out to be 0.13 meter per second. On putting the value, we'll get 0.13 meter per second. So 0.13 meter per second. Yes, 0.13 meter per second. Now let's move on to the next question. In a gravity-free space of lab, particle of mass m is connected to uniform concave mirror of same mass at pole through a spring of natural length 3f and spring constant k. Spring is oriented along principal axis of mirror at time t is equal to 0. System is at rest when impulse p is given to the particle. Okay, so at the instant t is equal to t1, t2 and t4, t3, compression in spring is maximum. So at t is equal to t1, spring becomes maximum compressed for the first time. For n is equal to 1, magnitude of displacement of image in lab frame is nf, and we have to find the value of n for the interval 0 to t2. Now let's simplify this. इसको थोड़ा simplify करते हैं. बहुत कुछ इसमें लिखा हुआ है. So अपने पास एक ये कॉन्केव मिरर है और इसको हमने स्प्रिंग के थ्रू एक ब्लॉक से कनेक्ट किया हुआ है. ब्लॉक का मास और मिरर का मास सेम है और इनिशियल सेपरेशन इनके बीच में 3f है. 3f इज द इनिशियल सेपरेशन. 3f इज द इनिशियल सेपरेशन. नाउ हमने ब्लॉक को इम्पल्स प्रोवाइड किया जिसका वैल्यू अपने को गिवन है. तो इम्पल्स प्रोवाइड करने से ये जो अरेंजमेंट है ये ऑसिलेट करने लगेगा, कपल्ड ऑसिलेशन. सो फॉर कपल्ड ऑसिलेशन वी नो द टाइम पीरियड. तो फॉर ऑसिलेशन वी नो द टाइम पीरियड. कैपिटल T इज इक्वल टू 2 पाई अंडर रूट, क्योंकि ये कपल्ड ऑसिलेशन है तो रिड्यूस मास मुझे इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा. सो m बाई 2k दिस इज द टाइम पीरियड. नाउ किस किस इवेंट पर मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन आएगा? तो मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन विल बी एट T/4, 5T/4, 9T/4 एंड सो ऑन. इन सभी टाइम पर जो है मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन आएगा. फॉर मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन. नाउ इस क्वेश्चन के एनालिसिस हम सेंटर ऑफ मास से करने वाले हैं. तो 3f डिस्टेंस के लिए, वेयर f इज द फोकल लेंथ ऑफ द मिरर, 3f डिस्टेंस के लिए अभी जो इमेज फॉर्म होगी बाय द मिरर फार्मूला वो होगी 3f/2 पर. मिरर फार्मूला से हम ये निकाल सकते हैं. और अभी मिड पर ये 3f/2 पर इमेज फॉर्म हो रही है, पहली इमेज, और यहीं पर इसका सेंटर ऑफ मास है. यही इसका सेंटर ऑफ मास. नाउ वी आर एनालाइजिंग दिस प्रॉब्लम विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू सेंटर ऑफ मास. सो इन COM फ्रेम, हम सेंटर ऑफ मास फ्रेम की बात कर रहे हैं. नाउ वी कैन ऑल्सो फाइंड द मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन का वैल्यू भी हम लोग फाइंड कर सकते हैं बाय एनर्जी एंड मोमेंटम कंजर्वेशन. तो फॉर मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन momentum is given to us. This is the value of momentum provided to the block. So for velocity, just divide it. The velocity of the block is nf under root 2k by m. Now this is the velocity of the block. So velocity of center of mass VCM is v by 2. Now with respect to center of mass, velocity of this block, relative velocity of this block will be v by 2, and relative velocity of this mirror is also v by 2. यानी सेंटर ऑफ मास फ्रेम से अगर देखेंगे तो इनिशियली मिरर और ब्लॉक दोनों एक दूसरे की तरफ आएंगे और स्प्रिंग मेरी कंप्रेस्ड होगी, और कंप्रेशन के इवेंट मैंने लिखे हैं, किस किस टाइम पर कंप्रेशन होगा वो इवेंट हम ऑलरेडी लिख चुके हैं. नाउ एज डिस्कस्ड, इनिशियल जो इमेज बनेगी वो मिड पे बनेगी, 3f/2 पर बनेगी, और वही सेंटर ऑफ मास है, और सेंटर ऑफ मास फ्रेम में ही हम इसको सॉल्व कर रहे हैं. नाउ आई एम कैलकुलेटिंग मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन. So for maximum compression, by work energy theorem or energy conservation, we can calculate it. So 1/2 half m/2 into v square is equal to half k x max square. So we can solve it by putting the value of v. So for n is equal to 1, n का वैल्यू 1 डालते हुए और हम यहाँ पर x max के लिए इसको सॉल्व करेंगे तो मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन विल कम आउट टू बी f, मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन f आएगा. नाउ दिस इज इंटरेस्टिंग. मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन f आने का मतलब ये है कि एट द टाइम ऑफ मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन ये कुछ सेंटर ऑफ मास के रिस्पेक्ट में यहाँ मेरा मिरर होगा और उसी तरीके से ऑब्जेक्ट ये ब्लॉक मेरा कुछ यहाँ तक आ चुका होगा और अब ये मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन का इवेंट है. अच्छा, मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन के इवेंट में जो मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन के वैल्यू है f है और सेंटर ऑफ मास के रिस्पेक्ट में दोनों आइडेंटिकल इनिशियल वेलोसिटी से थे. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि इसने ट्रैवल किया होगा इस कंप्रेशन का f/2 हिस्सा और इसने भी ट्रैवल किया होगा इस कंप्रेशन का f/2 हिस्सा. नाउ द रिमेनिंग डिस्टेंस बिटवीन दीज टू इज 2f. 2f जो है रिमेनिंग डिस्टेंस है. 2f अगर रिमेनिंग डिस्टेंस है तो 2f डिस्टेंस के लिए जो इमेज मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन पर बन रही होगी वो ऑब्जेक्ट के साथ कॉन्साइड कर रही होगी ब्लॉक के साथ. तो मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन पर जो इमेज है वो ऑब्जेक्ट के साथ कॉन्साइड कर रही होगी. सो दिस इज द फाइनल पोजीशन ऑफ द इमेज, दिस इज द इनिशियल पोजीशन ऑफ द इमेज एट द टाइम ऑफ मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन. एट द टाइम ऑफ मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन इमेज इज हेयर और इनिशियली इमेज वाज एट सेंटर ऑफ मास पॉइंट. तो यहाँ से अगर हम देखें तो सेंटर ऑफ मास के रिस्पेक्ट में इमेज कितनी शिफ्ट हो गई. सेंटर ऑफ मास के रिस्पेक्ट में ये जो इमेज है ये f डिस्टेंस से शिफ्ट हो गई. दोनों मासेस सेम है, बीच में सेंटर ऑफ मास है, डिस्टेंस 2f है तो ये डिस्टेंस f होगा. और ये इवेंट, ये जो इवेंट है ये इवेंट मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन का है तो इन इंस्टेंट्स पर है. नाउ अब क्वेश्चन को देखें तो हमको ये इवेंट बताना है T2 पर. T2 इंटरवल के लिए मुझे शिफ्ट बताना है कि कितना डिस्प्लेसमेंट हो गया इमेज का, किसके रिस्पेक्ट में, लैब फ्रेम के रिस्पेक्ट में, यानी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ग्राउंड बताना है. तो अगर विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सेंटर ऑफ मास बताना होता तो आंसर होता f, लेकिन मुझे विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ग्राउंड बताना है और मुझे सेकेंड टाइम वाले मैक्सिमम कंप्रेशन तक के इंटरवल के लिए बताना है, यानी मुझे इतने टाइम तक के लिए बताना है. सो फॉर दिस डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ इमेज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू ग्राउंड, ग्राउंड के रिस्पेक्ट में कैलकुलेट करने जा रहे हैं हम लोग विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू ग्राउंड. तो ग्राउंड के रिस्पेक्ट में कैलकुलेट करने के लिए मुझे सेंटर ऑफ मास का डिस्प्लेसमेंट भी ऐड करना पड़ेगा. नाउ सेंटर ऑफ मास जो है राइट की तरफ डिस्प्लेस हो रहा है और सेंटर ऑफ मास के रिस्पेक्ट में डिस्प्लेसमेंट उस तरफ है, लेफ्ट की तरफ है. सो जो नेट डिस्प्लेसमेंट होगा विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू ग्राउंड इमेज का, कॉल इट डेल्टा एक्स इज इक्वल टू, सो सेंटर ऑफ मास VCM और कितने इंटरवल के लिए, 5t/4 टाइम तक के लिए. और इसमें मुझे माइनस करना पड़ेगा सेंटर ऑफ मास के रिस्पेक्ट में डिस्प्लेसमेंट है f. तो VCM का वैल्यू हम लोग पुट करेंगे विच इज v/2 इंटू 5/4 इंटू टाइम पीरियड. टाइम पीरियड हम ऑलरेडी लिख चुके हैं 2π√m/2 के फॉर रिड्यूस मास सिस्टम माइनस f. नाउ पुटिंग द वैल्यू n, पुट n इज इक्वल टू 1. n इज इक्वल टू 1 के लिए v का वैल्यू हम पुट कर सकते हैं, एक्सप्रेशन है हमारे पास. तो यहाँ पुट करने पर जो डेल्टा x का वैल्यू निकल के आएगा वो 2.93 ऑफ f, ये वैल्यू निकल के आएगा. नाउ हमको डिस्प्लेसमेंट बताना था विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू लैब. सो दिस इज डिस्प्लेसमेंट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू लैब मीन्स विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू ग्राउंड इट इज कमिंग एट एज 2.93 f. सो it is in the form of NF, I think here NF. So NS 2.93. Now let's see the answer. Yes, 2.93 is the answer. Now let's move on to the second part. For the second part, by similar analysis, again with respect to COM frame as done in above part, for n is equal to 2 and for compression x is equal to F, where X is compression, we can find the relative velocity with respect to center of mass. So that's come out to be F under root 24 K by M. Now what we have to find? We have to find the value of the small n. So this small n will come out to be 24 for the second part. So n comes out to be 24 for the second part. Now let's move on to the next question. A semicircular transparent disc of radius r is placed in xy plane as shown, where center is at origin. A point light source is placed at the center. Okay. Observer moves anti-clockwise along x square plus y square is equal to r square, where theta between 0 to pi. Observer views light source in radial direction. Locus of image of point source. This is important. इसका हम आगे use करने वाले हैं. So locus of image of point source observed is this. Observer, however, could not view image. Okay. Now let's simplify this. इस क्वेश्चन को थोड़ा सा पहले समझते हैं. तो we have a circular disc whose refractive index is varying with theta, जिसका refractive index theta के साथ वेरी कर रहा है, और जो ऑब्जर्वर है वो एक सर्कल पे चलता हुआ इस ऑब्जेक्ट को व्यू कर रहा है और हमेशा रेडियली व्यू कर रहा है. तो ये ऑब्जर्वर की आई है और इस ऑब्जेक्ट को व्यू कर रहा है. नाउ फॉर दिस वैल्यू ऑफ थीटा इस ऑब्जर्वर को कुछ अपीरेंट डेप्थ दिखेगा. तो लेट अस सपोज कि ऑब्जेक्ट कहाँ है, कहीं यहाँ पर अपीयर हो रहा है, तो ये अपीरेंट डेप्थ होगा. दिस इज अपीरेंट डेप्थ. नाउ दिस डिस्टेंस इज स्मॉल आर, ये डिस्टेंस स्मॉल आर है. लेट दिस कोऑर्डिनेट बी x नॉट कॉमा y नॉट. तो अपीरेंट डेप्थ के कंसेप्ट से हम लिख सकते हैं अपीरेंट डेप्थ. सो अपीरेंट डेप्थ d अपीरेंट is equal to real depth, which is radius of this disk, divided by refractive index, which is the function of theta. So the small r will be r minus d apparent. So r 1 minus 1 by n as a function of theta. So the coordinate x naught comma y naught in terms of r हम लोग लिख सकते हैं. So coordinate x naught is equal to small r cos theta and y naught is small r sin theta. Now x naught is equal to r 1 minus 1 by n theta into cos theta, and y naught is equal to r 1 minus 1 by n theta sin theta. So ये x naught और y naught के मेरे पास कोऑर्डिनेट है. Now let's move to the question. For theta pi by 6, for theta is equal to pi by 6, refractive index is nearly equal to 4. Refractive index is nearly equal to 4. So for theta is equal to pi by 6, this n is approximately equal to 4. So putting the value here, यहाँ वैल्यू पुट करने पर हम x नॉट और हम y नॉट का वैल्यू लिख सकते हैं. तो x नॉट का वैल्यू विल बी 3√3 r by 8 एंड y नॉट का जो वैल्यू आएगा इट विल बी 3r by 8. तो ये पॉइंट के कोऑर्डिनेट मैंने लिख लिए और ये अप्रॉक्सीमेटेड वैल्यू है, तो नियरली इक्वल टू. नाउ दोबारा क्वेश्चन पर लौटते हैं. क्वेश्चन कह रहा है कि लोकस ऑफ इमेज ऑफ पॉइंट सोर्स ऑब्जर्व्ड इज एलिप्स. ये जो पॉइंट जहां पर इमेज बनी है ये एक एलिप्स पे लाई करेगा, सो ये जो x नॉट और y नॉट हैं इस एलिप्स की इक्वेशन को सेटिस्फाई करने चाहिए. और एलिप्स की इक्वेशन अपने को दे रखी है, तो एलिप्स की इक्वेशन में x नॉट y नॉट पुट करते हैं. तो x नॉट स्क्वायर अपॉन में a स्क्वायर प्लस y नॉट स्क्वायर अपॉन में b स्क्वायर, एंड दैट शुड बी इक्वल टू 1, क्योंकि x नॉट और y नॉट के अप्रॉक्सीमेटेड वैल्यू में यूज़ कर रहा हूँ, तो नियरली इक्वल टू 1. तो यहाँ वैल्यू अगर मैं पुट करूँ तो इन एडिशन वी हैव a is given in the question as a and b is given in the question as r by x and r by y. So a का वैल्यू भी पुट कर देते हैं, r by x एंड b का वैल्यू पुट कर देते हैं r by y. So on putting these values, यहाँ वैल्यू पुट करने पर और x नॉट और y नॉट की वैल्यू पुट करने पर विल हैव द इक्वेशन 27x स्क्वायर प्लस 9y स्क्वायर इज अप्रॉक्सीमेटली इज इक्वल टू 64. सो हमने क्या किया, हमने x नॉट और y नॉट की वैल्यू पुट किए इस एलिप्स की इक्वेशन में, और हमने a और b जो क्वेश्चन में हमें गिवन है वो हमने पुट किया. तो x और y में हमारे पास ये रिलेशन आ गया. कंडीशन है कि x और y बिलोंग्स टू इंटीजर, ये इंटीजर को बिलोंग करना चाहिए. तो अगर ये इंटीजर को बिलोंग करना चाहिए तो x शुड बी इक्वल टू 1 एंड y शुड बी इक्वल टू 2 एज x एंड y बिलोंग्स टू इंटीजर. तो x का वैल्यू 1 आना चाहिए, y का वैल्यू 2 आना चाहिए, एंड वी आर लुकिंग फॉर 1 by x plus 1 by y. So 1 by x is 1 by 1 plus 1 by 2 is equal to, this is 1.5. This is 1 by x plus 1 by y. So 1.5 should be the answer. Let's see the answer. Yes, it is 1.5. So it is based on apparent depth question. Now let's move on to the next question. For n is equal to pi by 3, for theta is equal to pi by 3, n is equal to 2, and we have to find for theta is equal to pi by 2, n का वैल्यू हमें फाइंड करना है. So by apparent depth concept as used above, we can find n pi by 2 as 1.81, for n at pi by 6 as pi by 3 as 2. तो सिमिलर एनालिसिस से हम लोग निकाल सकते हैं कि 90 डिग्री पर जो n का वैल्यू आएगा वो 1.81 आएगा. नाउ लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Four layer of, okay, this section contains 2 paragraphs, so only one option correct. 4 layer of glass plates are placed on top of each other in such a way that bottom one has thickness A1 and the refractive index N1, the next layer has thickness A2 and refractive index 2, third layer and top layer have thickness A3 and A4 and refractive indexes N3 and N4. 3 layer of light starting simultaneously from A1, A2, A3 reach B2, B3, B4 respectively at the same time. Simultaneously start हो रही हैं और same time पर पहुंच रही हैं, with their angle of incidence being critical angle. critical angle पर incident हुई हैं. और ये कुछ distances मुझे given है. तो diagram is like this. So these angles are critical angles. So this is, let's say, theta 1, this is theta 2, and this is theta 3. And refractive indexes are N1, N3 and N4. Now refractive indexes are given to us. Refractive index of first layer is 2 root 3 and for second it is 2. So refractive index is 2 root 3. 2 root 3, and for second is it is 2, and for third is N3, and for fourth it is N4. Now this A1 C1 distance is also given. Let this given is at, this distance is given as B. So this distance is B, and A2 C2 is 3 root 3 by 2 into B, and A3 C3 is 2 root 2B. So these distances are given in the question. Now we have to find the values A1, A2, A3, and so for A1, A2, A3, I am using the critical angle formula. So critical angle for critical angle, sin theta 1 will be 2 by 2 root 3, so it comes out to be 1 by root 3. Similarly, sin theta 2 is equal to n3 by 2, and sin theta 3 is n4 by n3. So these are equation number 1. Call them equation number 1. Now, for another equation, we have the condition कि जो रेज हैं वो A1, A2, A3 से साइमल्टेनियस स्टार्ट हुई हैं और सेम टाइम पर वो B2, B3 और B4 पर पहुंची हैं, तो टाइम शुड बी इक्वल. नाउ दिस डिस्टेंस इज B by sin theta 1. This distance is 3 root 3 by B by 2 sin theta 2, and this distance is 2 root 2 B by sin theta 3. Now these distances we can write them. So for same time, so for the first ray, the time taken will be distance B upon my sin theta 1 divided by speed, and speed is speed divided by refractive index of the medium, which is 2 by root 3. Similarly, in the second medium, the distance travelled is 3 root 3 B upon my 2 sin theta 2, and the speed is c by 2. And similarly, for the third medium, the distance travelled is 2 root 2 B upon my sin theta 3, and divided by the speed, which is c divided by n3. So call it equation number 2. So these two equations are formed now. Now we have to find A1, A2, A3 and n3, n4. So on solving these equation, n3 comes out to be root 3, n4 comes out to be root 2, and also we have to find A1, A2 and A3. So A1, A2 and A3, it is root 2, 3 by 2 and 2 with a multiple of B, So let's see the options. So it is root 2B, 3 by 2B and 2B, root 2B, 3 by 2B and 2B. And for the next part of the question, we have to find this. So we already find n3 and n4. So n3 we got n3 as root 3 and n4 as root 2. So n3 as root 3 square plus root 2 square. So on solving this, we'll get 5. So 5 should be the answer. So 5 is the answer. Now let's move on to the next question. A particle of mass m is moving in circular orbit about center of field space, where potential energy is given by this, where r being distance from center and c is positive constant. This should be constant. Radius of orbit is in ground state is r0. So for r0 is equal to 2a, expression for constant c का वैल्यू अपने को फाइंड करना है. ओके, इट बेस्ड ऑन बोर्स मॉडल. सो वी हैव पोटेंशियल एनर्जी, एंड द पोटेंशियल एनर्जी U इज इक्वल टू C R प्लस a square by r. So we can calculate force as minus du by dr. So minus C and 1 minus a square by r square. So this force, this magnitude of force will provide the necessary centripetal acceleration, which is mv square by r should be equal to C 1 minus a square by r square. So call it equation number 1. And for angular momentum quantization, we can write mvr is equal to nh upon my 2 pi. So we can put the value of v from here. So we can put v is equal to nh upon my 2 pi divided by mr. So call it equation number 2. Call it equation number 2. Now putting the value of v here, यहाँ v का value put कर लेते हैं. तो v का वैल्यू पुट करेंगे तो दिस इज m बाई आर और NH अपॉन में 2 पाई एम आर का होल स्क्वायर इज इक्वल टू C 1 माइनस a स्क्वायर बाई आर स्क्वायर. नाउ for R naught is equal to 2a, for R naught is equal to 2a, putting here, call it equation number 2, call it equation number 2, in fact equation number 3, this is equation number 3. So for R naught is equal to 2a, for R naught is equal to 2a, and for ground state also n is equal to 1, we get the value C as h square upon my pi m a cube. Here is 24. So 24 should be the answer for the value of n. Now, yes, 24 is the answer. Now, let's move on to the next part of the question. In the next part, for R naught is equal to 2a, again for ground state n is equal to 1, we have to find the angular momentum, we have to find the condition for n. Now, we already derived the 3 equations here, we already derived the 3 equations, equation 1, 2 and 3, and from equation 1, 2 and 3, from above part, we can find R by A square minus 1 as 6n square. So this should be the answer. Now let's move on to the next question. So this is the answer. This section contains 3 integer based question. The de Broglie wavelength of a fastest photoelectron lambda naught and 2 lambda naught when light of wavelengths lambda and 3 lambda are incident on metal surface respectively. Threshold wavelength of metal is n. Then threshold wavelength of metal is n times lambda plus m lambda naught, where n plus m का वैल्यू अपने को फाइंड करना है. All right. So the de Broglie wavelength is inversely proportional to the root of kinetic energy. So अगर लैम्डा नॉट के लिए काइनेटिक एनर्जी k है तो 2 लैम्डा नॉट के लिए काइनेटिक एनर्जी शुड भी k by 4 होनी चाहिए. नाउ फोटोइलेक्ट्रिक इक्वेशन hc by lambda minus phi is equal to k and hc by 3 lambda minus phi is equal to k by 4. अलग अलग वेवलेंथ के लिए हमने फोटोइलेक्ट्रिक इक्वेशन लगाया. So on solving these 2 equations, इनको solve करने पर we'll get phi as hc by 9 lambda. Now phi is work function, so it can be written as hc divided by lambda threshold. So lambda threshold will come out as lambda threshold is equal to 9 times of lambda. So we can write it as 9 times of lambda plus 0 lambda naught. So on comparing, n comes out to be 9, whereas m comes out to be 0. So the sum n plus m will be equal to 9. So let's check the answer. N is equal to 9. N plus m is equal to 9 is the correct answer. Now let's move to the next question. Iron rod of length 12 meters kept vertically on river bed, where lower end in contact with river bed. When released from rest, river flow drag rod. However, lower end does not slide. When rod is half submerged, record integer nearest to the rod shadow length. Okay, हमें rod का shadow length निकालना है to the nearest integer. Assume refractive index is given by this. Water layer has height of 3.6 meter. All right. So let us draw the diagram first. तो rod कुछ bend हो गई है, ऐसा क्वेश्चन में बोला जा रहा है. ये river bed है. तो लेट अस सपोज कि ये हाइट ऑफ द रिवर है and this height is given in the question. This height is h, which is given as 3.6. So this height is 3.6. This height is 3.6. So h is equal to 3.6 meter. Now suppose this angle is theta. ये angle theta है. Now half length is submerged is saying, so total length is 12 meter, so this length is 6 meter. और रे जो है वर्टिकल के साथ 45 डिग्री पर इंसिडेंट हुई है, रे वर्टिकल के साथ 45 डिग्री पर इंसिडेंट हो रही है, सो दिस एंगल इज 45 डिग्री. नाउ रे अगर आगे मैं ट्रेस करूं तो कुछ इस तरीके से यहाँ बेंड होंगी, रिफ्रैक्ट होगी और रिफ्रैक्ट होके कहीं यहाँ रिवर बेड को हिट करेगी. So if this angle is 45, so this will also be 45. Let us suppose this angle is alpha. Now this height is h and this height is 6. This theta will come out 37 degree. Now this is theta, this also be theta, and we have this is 6 meter, this is also 6 meter. That means these two triangles, this and this, are congruent triangle. So if this height is h, this height will also be h. So for 45 degree, this distance will also be h. Now we have to calculate the shadow length. So this angle is theta, this angle will also be theta. For shadow length, total length of the rod is 12 meter. So this is 6 meter and this is another 6 meter. So shadow length is this length plus this length plus this part. So this length is 12 cos theta. This length is h and this length is, if this angle is alpha, this length is h tan alpha. Now we have to calculate the alpha first. So for alpha, I am applying Snell's law here. So 1 into sine 45, outside is air, is equal to mu into sine alpha. Now refractive index of liquid is given to us. The refractive index is 13 by 5 root 2. So 13 by 5 root 2, 13 by 5 root 2, 1 by root 2, and this is sine alpha. Root 2 will cancel out. So sine alpha will be equal to 5 by 13, implies tan alpha will be 5 by 12. Now the total shadow length is, the total shadow length is equal to 12 cos theta plus h tan alpha. So 12 into cos 37 plus h is 3.6 plus 3.6 into tan alpha, which is 5 by 12. So on solving this, it will come out 14.7 centimeter. So for nearest integer, it will be 15 centimeter. Now let's check the answer. Yes, 15 centimeter is the answer. Now let's move on to the next question. Object and screen are fixed on optical bench at position 88.5 centimeter and 24.5 centimeter respectively for two positions of convex lens, and positions are 48.5 centimeter and 64.5 centimeter. Image formed on the screen. Least count of scale fixed on optical bench is itna. Find the value of n, which is equal to 128 into delta f, where delta f is maximum error calculation in focal length. So for displacement method, we know that d square minus x square is equal to 4fd. So from here, focal length is d square minus x square divided by 4d. Now separating the terms, 1 by 4 is equal to d minus x square by d. Now differentiating this, so on differentiating, df is equal to 1 by 4, and this is d of d minus, now here we are differentiating this term. So d square, d and x square is 2x dx minus x square d of d. Now open the bracket. So we have 1 by 4 d of d. So it will be minus 2x d dx, and this minus minus becomes plus, plus x square by d square into d of d. Now this is df. So delta f is equal to 1 by 4. Delta f is equal to, you can writing in it, delta f is equal to 1 by 4 delta of d. Now we are calculating maximum possible error, so I am taking mod of each term. So plus 2x by d delta x plus x square by d square delta d. So from here we can find the value of delta f. Now what is delta d and delta x? So we can see the difference of these two readings, these two positions, is d, which is equal to 64.0 centimeter, and with a resolution of 0.1. With a resolution of 0.1 means plus minus 0.1 centimeter. Similarly, for x, we have this difference is 64.0 and with a resolution of again 0.1 centimeter. So from here we have d is 64 with error 0.1 and x is 16 with error of 0.1. On putting this value, here we can find the value of delta f. Now we have to find 128 times of delta f. So putting the value of delta f, multiplying by 128, we will find it as 5 centimeter. So let's see the answer. 5 is the answer. Okay, that's it for the physics part. Thank you very much. Keep doing the hard work.